everybody. Welcome to Slogan's Rock and Metal Extravaganza. We're here for our best song series, and today it's the Prog Kings of the Midwest with Kansas. So we're going to go through all their albums. We're leaving out Always, what's that album called, Davey?
Always Never the Same.
Always Never the Same, which is just basically its greatest hits recorded with like a live orchestra. There's some new songs, but they kind of leave a little bit to be desired. I don't know. It's not really, it is one of their albums, but we're kind of leaving this unless you guys actually have heard it and you want to throw a song out there if you really want to. But Dave was like, no. You know? Dave's like, no, we can skip it.
Somebody in the chat knows it. Maybe tell us. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, Kansas, the prog rock band from. I thought it was Wichita at first, but that's wrong. It's Topeka. I originally had the thumbnail of like the skyline of or an outside image of Wichita, and I'm like, wait a second, wrong city. So then I used the skyline for Topeka. So there you go. So yeah, we got joining us today is Davey Creighton from Creighton's Classics, who's known as the At-Man today.
I am the At-Man, goo goo gajoo.
Logan Overture. And Wayward Son. So yeah, we're gonna get started here. I know Davey will probably be able to handle some of the history here. So yeah, let's see, Kansas. So first, I'll get right off the bat here. So why am I Googling? I have this. Okay, so yeah, we got the first album, Kansas, self-titled. You got the picture of them on the back. This is like the reissue CD, and Rich Williams looks like a farmer. It's like
got them overalls on, man.
If Carrot Top was a farmer. It's like the only I didn't even realize he was a redhead until actually seeing this. It's like, whoa, okay. Anyways, yeah. So we got Can I Tell You, Bringing It Back, Lonely Wind, Belixes or Belixes. I don't think it really matters. It's a made-up word. It's not a real word. Carrie had a habit of making up words, right? Just to remember the song titles, and would just make up words. It's kind of funny. And then Journey from Mariabron.
Mariabron, yes.
Okay, I got that one right. The Pilgrimage, oh my God, my Spanish. Apercu, okay. Apercu and Death of Mother Nature Suite. So, yeah.
Ooh.
So we're going to go with, obviously, the guest always goes first. So, Davey, you want to give a little information on this album and then get into what your favorite song is?
How did you get into Kansas, Davey? I want to know that.
Okay, I got into Kansas by listening to classic FM rock radio from 1977 on. So I heard The Wall on the radio, and I heard, of course, Carry On Wayward Son. A lot of stuff from Point of No Return. Back in the day, radio used to even play Paradox and Portrait He Knew on the radio. Wow. Now they only play one, maybe two songs, Dust in the Wind, and of course, Point of No Return, the title track. And the first album, I heard stuff on the radio in the early 80s. They even played Got to Rock On rock radio from Audio Vision.
Really?
That was a big song on New York rock radio. I heard that constantly back in 1980, 81, and then it disappeared. Hasn't been played on radio in over 40 years, at least here, the East Coast of New York over here. And then the first album I definitely remember getting was The Best of Kansas on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
I think it was 1985 I got it when I first learned how to drive, possibly.
Is that the one that's called Carry On, or is that a different comp?
No.
I know there's a few of them.
That's a bad collection, just The Best of Kansas.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've got Carry On CD, actually. Okay.
And then the first album I really got into, actually, working in the record store, In the Spirit of Things, was on our play pile, and we played this album a lot back in the day, so it has a special place in my heart.
Logan, what are you doing?
Here it is.
Oh, that. Okay, I have that one too, actually.
So the band formed in the early 1970s, and it was two bands put together, and as Phil Ehart, drummer, great drummer, very underrated drummer, by the way, which I will talk about, he said, I want to get Kerry Livgren's songs sung by Steve Walsh. And you put the two combinations together, and it's even better than chocolate and peanut butter put together in a Reese's peanut butter cup. Because Walsh was a phenomenal singer.
Yeah.
one of the greats in rock and roll. Unfortunately, from constant touring and just the rock and roll lifestyle, let's say, his voice wasn't what it was back in the 70s and even the 80s.
Yeah.
When I started seeing them in the 90s, that's when his voice started going a little, and you could hear it, especially on the Freaks of Nature record, but more on that later.
Yeah.
So we have arguably the best American prog rock band here. From the first album, 1974, I am going with a Livgren Walsh composition, almost 8 minutes long, vocals by Steve Walsh. Journey from Mariabron is my favorite on this album.
There you go.
This was an easy one for me to pick.
Okay.
Oof.
I love the way the band plays together. Every member shines. Dave Hope, a very underrated bass player too. He always gets on the 70s stuff. He really has some great bass lines on all their prog stuff from the 70s. And for me, this song at 6:48 to the end, the last minute plus, is magical for me.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lift, and then you get Kerry Livgren on the synthesizer going off, and Walsh is doing the whoa-whoas, and he's just so up there. And to me, this is one of the great moments, one of the two great moments in their catalog. And just the way the song ends, and you get Kerry on the synth, and the big cacophonous ending, Robbie Steinhardt's violin work, Livgren's keyboard and guitar, and of course, don't forget Rich Williams on guitar. And to me, this is the best song on the first album. And our buddy Logan from the Prog Corner, Scott Lade, he just did a show recently. His favorite debut albums.
What's the Wow.
The first Kansas album was, I think, at the top of the list, one of his top albums. So Scott Lade from the Prog Corner.
Can't go wrong with that.
Album. If you don't know it, check it out. Journey from Mariabron is my choice. Over to you.
Awesome.
Over to Logan Overture. What's
all right? Well,
your favorite?
Man, it's not easy to pick one song from this album to me. Not easy to pick one song from the first 6 or 7 of these albums to me. But I went with the last track. I went with "Death of Mother Nature" Suite, which to me, and somebody posted it like that on YouTube. That Apricot, that track, they go hand in hand to me. I know Apricot is kind of more like, I don't know, softer and mellower and kind of more atmospheric. But oh man, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. When it changes, at the end of Apricot, it just goes into this like heavy distorted blues riff, and it's got a great change of dynamic. I'm gonna mention that a lot with this band because they could change on a dime from one thing to the other. Robbie Steinhardt sings this song, which he took lead vocals, I don't know, occasionally one or two or three times on the early albums. He gets relegated to one on certain albums that we'll talk about, which I'm not a big fan on that. But I just love how the track builds up back into the main riff with the chorus. And the "Now She's Gonna Die" part that Sydney just wrote in the comments. It's just killer, man. It's just memorable. Every time I think of that song, I think of that part, And song also shows the band can perfectly combine hard rock and progressive tendencies perfectly, I think. And really love Robbie's standout violin solo. He does a solo about 2.5 minutes in, which leads into another heavy rock section that has like these unison lines with the guitars, keyboards, and violin. And I'll mention Phil Ehart too. He gets some very cool drum fills in the little change up section before the track goes up tempo for some keyboard spotlight soloing. Then it goes back into that heavy groove, it's just anthemic, electric guitar work from Rich Williams too in this song. I love Rich is very underrated too, I think. He's got some great little solos in these songs. And I wanted to mention lyrically, the song's about like the environment and how the earth's slowly decaying and stuff. And they wrote this in, 1974. So think about how bad it is now, I love this track, man. I love this whole album.
Before you go, Sydney, could I just interject one thing?
Yep.
I was once playing that CD at the store, one of my jobs, and my boss wasn't there. He lived close by. He walked in while I was playing the first Kansas album.
What
and
song?
Death of Mother
Oh,
Nature
God.
Suite was on, and I'm in the front of the store doing something. He's
Now
all
she's
the way in
gonna
the back,
die.
and I heard him above the music go, now she's gonna die. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause that's our exaggerated impression of him. And when you said the name of the
that's
song and
funny.
he posted the comment, it reminded me of him doing that.
That's
Oh, what
hilarious.
the hell are you listening to here? That's what he said.
Oh, that's funny.
What's
Ah,
up,
you and your
man?
crazy music.
Meanwhile, he probably knows Dust in the Wind, and if you told him it's the same band, he'd be like, "What?"
That sounds nothing like that.
Well, it's the same guy playing the violin, so it's funny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was hard for me not to go with Death of Mother Nature Suite, but I knew Logan was going to pick that, so I went with something else. For me, it's like I can almost like tie half these songs, but for me, it's the made-up word song, Belix's, Belix's, or that, however you want to pronounce it.
Alexis.
Yeah.
Alexis.
Oh, God. Yeah, Carrie Livgren had a habit of just making up words to like make it easier to remember song titles. So, but yeah, I love this one. It's just I hear that song, I can hear the melody in my head. I just love the chaotic violin playing from Bobby Steinhardt. It's just such. Violin's not an instrument I would usually gravitate towards, but he plays it almost like a lead guitar. He's just so chaotic and it suits the music so well. Like, it's such a great song. And then you got the wah-wah solo in the middle. I love the main riff, kind of the whole song in general. The melody almost, it's not the same tempo or anything, but just the overall sound of it reminds me of Born for Adventure by Styx. It has that sort of feeling to it, that medieval riff, and it just reminds me of Born for Adventure, which is my favorite Styx song. So yeah, that's a
Cool.
Good choice.
But this was easy for me because I've always loved that song. And then like that wah wah at the end, and then there's the drum, even the drumming. Like Phil's just a phenomenal drummer too. Like no one mentions Phil Ehart as a great drummer, but he's just amazing.
Exactly.
Yep.
Awesome drummer. Like there's just so many songs which I'm sure you guys will get into as well. So yeah, that's my pick. Is this whatever Davey called the song.
Belexis.
Okay, Belexis.
And I want to give a shout out to a great ballad from the debut album that was my second choice.
Lonely Wind.
And Death of Mother Nature Suite was my third. Lonely Wind is a great song. I can't believe it wasn't released as a single back in the day, but the double live album from 1978, which
you're making me skip, baby. You're making me skip.
The remaster of right here.
Yep,
yeah, it's better than the vinyl. I got the vinyl.
2 for the show. Ooh, mine's a promo copy.
Nice.
Ooh.
Wow.
Lonely Wind was released as a single from here, and it reached number, I think, 63 or 65 on the Billboard chart, which is a shame. It's such a beautiful song. More people should know that song.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you can't go wrong with any. Like, this stuff is just... Yeah, even the J.J. Cale cover is pretty cool. But, like, all of this stuff is really good.
Exactly. That's why Scott Lade from the Prog Corner loves it so.
It's just great. Yeah. Like, I could play this album and, like, tomorrow my favorite song will change. But so it's just one of those albums for me.
I could see that.
So that
Moving on
us
to album number 2.
Probably the one with their best album covers, because a lot of their album covers aren't the greatest. But to me, I think this is the best album cover. It's really cool with the eagle and yeah. So we got Down the Road, Song for America, the title track. Like, this is Song for America, by the way, second album. Lamplight Symphony, Lonely Street, The Devil Game, Incomudro, another made-up word. Incomudro, Hymn to the At-Man, which is, yeah, Davey's the At-Man. So, Davey, what's going to be your favorite on this, and maybe provide some more history and stuff on this?
Okay, this album came out early 1975, and then later in the year, their third record. So like a lot of bands back in the 70s, Elton John, Thin Lizzy, 2 albums a year occasionally. From this album, I'm going for a song that actually Don Kirshner, who was the head of the label that signed Kansas. Hi, this is Don Kirshner for Don Kirshner's Rock Concert. Don Kirshner edited this song from its original form down to a single that was under 3 minutes, and it didn't chart. and it's a horrible version of the song. It's like listening to the single edit of Roundabout. Don't even bother with the single edit. Go for the full 10-minute and 3-second version. I'm going for the title track written by Kerry Livgren as he was flying across country on an airplane. Song for America, baby. That is my choice.
How would you even make that 3 minutes? The intro was like 2.5.
He just chopped it up. It was horrible.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that's weird. How would you even make that into a...
On this song, you get vocals by Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt on the song. It's a great song. It's so proggy. It has so many sections, great vocals, great instrumentalists playing on it. And like, it's such a long song that every member shines. And it's powerful. It's got a catchy chorus where they keep repeating, "Here all life abounds." I love that phrase. And it's my favorite song, title track, Song for America for me.
All right, cool. Logan Overture. Echoing those sentiments, or going to be something else here?
No, it's going to be something different. It's going to be the track right after it, Lamplight Symphony, I went with.
Wow, okay.
Yes. I know this is going to be a shocker. This is like
I wasn't expecting that.
It's almost like musically, this track's like almost like a ballad, but it's like, it's got like time signature changes and the musical structure. It's hard to call it a ballad, you know what I mean? But
no, it's not really. It's
I think the music and the lyrics go hand in hand on this track. It's like, I think it's Carrie's first like kind of religious kind of song, because he's talking about a guy who's dreaming about his wife who's dead, but he like comes to him in his dream or something, and I just like the sentiment of it. It's a cool track. I just think the music like goes hand in hand well with the lyrics. Especially about 3 minutes in, after the first couple verses are done, the band builds in this like descending blues riff, which I think I read it's in like 5-8 times. So there's your Prog thing right there. They're going. But yeah, just love that part. Robbie has some great spots in this song. A lot of unison with Carrie's lines. They do that a lot. So I mentioned that a lot on these songs. It all builds up into a break at 5.5 minutes with Robbie and Carrie again playing off each other's parts. And I think the section always sounds like something out of a classical music piece. And I watched the documentary they did for the first 5 albums, Miracles Out of Nowhere, this week. And I think Don Kirshner, one of the guys, Wally Gold, one of them guys talked about that. That's part of the reason why they got signed, because they sound like, they thought they sounded like a classical band at the same time as being like a hard rock. So, yeah.
And Robbie was classically trained on the violin, so.
Yeah, that makes sense, because he sounds like he could play in an orchestra or, I love the way it ends, too. Just had like a big bombastic ending. Philly Hart's playing them timpani drums, the 3 big round timpani drum. It just brings a grandiose finish to the track, I think. Just a cool track, man. I could have went with any probably off this one, too. I love this album.
Yeah.
This might be my favorite one, really, but I don't know. I mean, I could change that from day to day.
Oh, wow. There was, so there was 1, 2, there's only 6 songs on this entire album, so there was 3 songs that I could have gone with. It was hard. I've changed it there was about 4 songs that I could have gone with. And neither of them were the songs that you picked. But, oh boy.
You're going to side 2.
The entire time it was Lonely Street, and then I changed it like an hour ago. Because I like Lonely Street, because it kind of sounds like Bad Company. It's Steve Walsh, I think. He was a huge Paul Rogers fan. I'm pretty sure he's mentioned it before. And it's him doing him doing his Paul Rogers impression, right? He does like that. It's just pretty much a basic, just heavy blues song, but there's great guitar playing. I did want to talk about that, because that was my initial pick. But then I switched it to Down the Road, which is lyrically totally ridiculous, but like you got lines, "Here comes Big Mike, I kind of owe him some beans." Like, what? Okay. It's just, I sold to a sucker and I owe Big Mike a cut. It's just kind of like this bluesy, really, again, I'm using the word chaotic, because there's very chaotic soloing in there from on the violin, just the guitar work. Kind of almost has like an older, early 70s ZZ Top sound. not vocally or anything, but the music, it kind of reminds me of something that could have been on like Rio Grande Mud or maybe even Tres Hombres, but just with violin thrown in there too. And it's just very chaotic. I just think it's a really fun song. It's high energy. It's a pretty heavy song. So yeah, I do tend to gravitate towards like the, I guess, heavier songs, I guess you could call them. I don't know. But yeah, it's a fun song. In Camudro, I could have gone with that drum solo and at the end there. It's just, and the solo to finish that song off. Like there's just Devil Game's another one. I almost had Devil Game. I almost switched from Lonely Street to Devil Game, and I switched that to Down the Road. I'm like, this was a difficult album to pick something from. But yeah, I'll go with Down the Road for today. And then tomorrow I'll probably be back to Lonely Street again. Or Devil Game, yeah. Devil Game is a great song too. Just such a fun song. But
it's a fucking banger according to Kiefer.
There you go. So that brings us to my favorite Kansas album, is Mask, which is spelt the French way, which is, Mask. Not the greatest album cover, it's kind of weird, but yeah. I guess it's supposed to be like, I don't know what's even, I just realized there's like a fish in there, and there's some weird things on the...
All kinds of crazy things.
Just weird, really strange. Creative, I'll give them that. But alright, so we got It Takes a Woman's Love to Make a Man, 2 Cents Worth, Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel, All the World, Child of Innocence, It's You, Mysteries and Mayhem, The Pinnacle. So, Davey, what's your choice for this? I think I know it, but we'll see.
Before I tell you my pick for this album, Down the Road was a song they performed a lot in the 90s when I first started.
90s, really?
In concert. They would always do that song. Good live song, too. Gets the crowd pumping and jumping and moving and grooving. So Mask is their second album from 1975. And if you haven't seen it, on YouTube, there is a great live clip of the band performing it on Don Kirshner's rock concert. So definitely seek out that live clip because it's amazing to watch them play my favorite Kansas song of all time, The Pinnacle, the last track on the album, 9 minutes, 44 seconds. It's written by Kerry Livgren, vocals by both Walsh and Steinhardt. And just the amazing ensemble playing on this song where, once again, everyone shines, especially Steinhardt on his violin. And I think it's about 3 minutes before the vocals even come in. So you get that great prog buildup. And the way the song ends, it's just in a cacophonous rush. Amazing song, my favorite Kansas song, and my choice for Mask, The Pinnacle.
Nice. Well, I know Logan's favorite because I know it's his favorite Kansas song in general, so...
Yeah.
Ready to talk about Icarus?
Yes, I am going to be talking about Icarus, Born on Wings of Steel.
Yeah.
My number 2 choice.
Oh, man, yeah. Like, that was the song that kind of made me want to listen to them more, you know? It's like, because I only knew the two radio songs that they used to play, when I was younger. And then you hear something like that, and it's like, whoa, what the... But yeah, like Sydney said, if I had to choose, it would be my all-time favorite Kansas song. Really think the band started to find the best ways to blend their progressive and rock sides into one song fully on a track like this. And it's I mentioned it's all about like the Greek mythology guy flies too close to the sun. He has wax wings with feathers, and the wax burns in the sun, and he falls to his death. Which I think is what Zeppelin got that off of, right? That picture.
The Swan song.
Okay.
Yeah. And, Iron Maiden has Flight of Icarus. That's about that, too. But, yeah, getting into the song here. Track starts out with Steve, Carey, and Robbie playing keyboard, organ, and violin lines, like in unison with each other before the guitars, bass, and drums come in. So I like how they, split it up there. I just think, this is a masterwork of dynamic range with the fast 8th note lines coming perfectly into the main chord progression, which I think it's F sharp into A into B minor, I believe, before we get like a softer, lighter, laid back approach to the verses. And I love Steve's vocals, like on the verse lines. I mean, on the chorus too, he's awesome, but just got like a very anthemic feel I get from a track like this. And I love when the music drops out as well in the last words of the chorus when they sing the I Climb the Mountains of the Sky part. and I just love the musical instrumental sections. I think Dave Hope's prominent bass is like in that little middle section too. You really hear Dave Hope there on a track like this. Yeah, and Robbie, Kerry, Steve, and Rich all take solos at a different section. So I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah, and then I like the ending little section. They introduce some acoustic guitar in the mix, and there's another great electric lead solo with some unison lines and great backing vocals from the band, holding it all together until the fade out. So yeah, that's my all-time favorite Kansas tune. So.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's. If it weren't for the song I'm about to mention, that would be my pick. But
can't go wrong with Davies either, man. I love the Pinnacle.
There's no bad songs on this. Everything is good on here.
No, yeah, even the songs like the poppier commercial, "It Takes a Woman's Love to Make a Man,"
and
it's still a good. That's still a good fun song.
Yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, it's good.
Mysteries and Mayhem. That's the live version is awesome. But then all right, now I'm getting sidetracked. Now I'm looking at the songs on here. I'm like, well, that's not my pick. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I'm going with "Child of Innocence," which is my favorite Kansas song. So just love that. Again, it just kind of goes back to that I love when they do like that medieval sounding thing, like "Born for Adventure" does. It's not the same, but it's has the overall sound. So yeah, it has. Just love that the vocal. I like how Bobby's does like the aggressive vocal. And then when the song gets more like mellow, Steve's voice comes in, and then it goes back. So I love the back and forth on the vocals there. I love when you got a band that's got two singers and they trade off. I just think
on one song,
yeah, and they do it on a lot of songs. Even Mysteries and Mayhem, they do it. But yeah, "Child of Innocence," and then just great guitar solo on that. I'm not sure. I don't really know who does which solos on these things, but whoever's doing the solos on this, they're both Kerry and Rich are both fantastic guitar players, I think.
Yeah, I don't know who does the main majority. Davey, do you know? I don't really know.
I think they switch it up a lot.
Okay.
And if Kerry's doing a lot of keyboard stuff,
right? Yeah, because
all the synths, then it's Rich.
Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff where Steve Walsh couldn't just do all the keyboards because there's so many layerings of all these different things going on. One person can't physically possibly play all that, so Kerry would take care of a lot of the other stuff just so they wouldn't lose any sound live, right?
And Logan, if you watched a bunch of live performances, you'd see that not Robbie Steinhardt, Rich Williams plays, I think, a lot of Fenders, and Kerry goes more for the Gibsons.
Okay,
cool. All right.
Nice. But yeah, and then even
in the 70s, anyway.
Yeah, but then even like the outro of the song is kind of cool. It changes and becomes like a completely different song at the end and just kind of fades out like that. So just a cool outro to that song as well. Just great song. As soon as I look at that song, I can hear the melody in my head and just sing along to it. And just great song. But this whole album is good. This, like I said, this is my favorite Kansas album. So that brings us to.
But wait, before we go on, each of our favorite Kansas songs is from that album.
That's true.
Third album.
There you go.
Pretty interesting.
Third time's the charm. There you go. So on to Davey's favorite Kansas album. Logan Overture, Left Overture. I like that title, Left Overture, like a classical piece. So I thought that was kind of a funny, clever title for them to go with, Left Overture. So we got, oh my god, this is all splitting up. So yeah, we got the writing on the CD is so small and hard to read. So we got the big hit right off the bat, Carry On Wayward Son, The Wall, What's on My Mind, Miracles Out of Nowhere, Opus Insert, Questions of My Childhood, Cheyenne Anthem, and Magnum Opus. I'm not going to break down all the little different parts here that are listed on here. And then so that's weird little titles on some of these pieces of Magnum Opus, but yeah. So, Davey, what's going to be your pick from this?
From 1976, their fourth album, I'm going with a song written by Kerry Livgren solely, 6.5 minutes long, vocals by both Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt here, and I'm picking the title of the documentary that Logan mentioned, Miracles Out of Nowhere. Is my favorite from here. The way the chorus goes, it's always here, it's always there, it's just love. And they're singing that in unison and swapping. And then Steve Walsh just takes off. It's just love it. When he goes, it's Miracles Out of Nowhere, and he just soars in his upper register. Just a phenomenal part. The whole middle proggy section where they bring in one instrument at a time and it keeps building and building. You get Steinhardt on the violin going off. It's so melodic and so complex and progressive. An amazing song, Miracles Out of Nowhere. My choice from Left Overture. My favorite Kansas album, too.
Nice.
Great, David,
All right.
great.
So, Logan, what's going to be yours?
All right. So, you know how you said you weren't going to break down the parts of Magnum Opus?
Oh, boy.
We're going to break down the parts of Magnum Opus, ladies and gentlemen. All
ridiculous song titles.
Yeah.
Ridiculous little titles in here, but yeah.
Yeah. I started, if I didn't gush about this band's complexity enough on the last album, I think like this track, Magnum Opus, pretty much summed up everything Kansas was about in the early years. Song is split up into 6 sections. With the first, I'm going to attempt these. attempt these. Father Padilla meets the perfect gnat. All right. So it's completely instrumental. Features some cool xylophone, which I don't think they had that before. It kind of reminds me like Frank Zappa around this time period. He had Ruth Underwood playing the xylophone. And Dave Hope takes the lead bass part, which I thought was kind of uncommon for Kansas. Sounds like he has his bass plugged into like a wah pedal kind of to me too. I'm not sure. But yeah, then we get to the one part that has vocals, Howling at the Moon, which Steve Walsh, you know, he kind of steals the show during this part.
Oh yeah.
And I love the chorus, you know, the rocking and the rolling's only howling at the moon. Just great, man. And they used to play, I think they used to play that just separate from Magnum Opus. I think they used to play that
in the 90s when I saw them, they just did that vocal section. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
the
that's a
intro
great
into the vocal, just the first 2 parts. Sort of like Rush with 2112 later on. They just did the first 2 parts.
Yeah, Temples of Syrinx and cool. But yeah, then we get into that. I said in my notes here, it gets a little dicey to figure out where things start and end. But I did attempt. Yeah. I tried. So I believe Man Overboard starts immediately after Steve is done singing, around like 2 minutes and 45 seconds. And it's very keyboard heavy. It goes greatly into some screeching Robbie Steinhardt violin. I love when he does that, like Sydney was talking about. We got some crazy siren-like keyboard lines too that pan from the left and right channels. If you're listening on headphones, of course. And I believe the 4th section, Industry on Parade, starts around the 4-minute mark. And this part's pretty guitar heavy. Also features some keyboard work that's very reminiscent of fellow prog rockers ELP is what I said. I think Kerry kind of sounded like Keith Emerson a little bit during this section. And it flows nicely into softer, more mellow piece, not dissimilar from the way the track began to me. Very atmospheric and unique to the track. And then I think the Release the Beavers section, I think that's when Rich Williams comes in.
Ridiculous.
Got some great soloing. It just makes sense to me. That feels like Release the Beavers, like play the solo, you know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong. I looked around. I couldn't find anybody who knew what part, ends. But yeah, and then it ends with what? Nat Attack? Is that the last one?
Nat Attack. Yep. I thought that might be the solo. Nat Attack. It makes sense, but I don't know. It's hard to know.
That too, yeah. Yeah, because Release the Beavers could be like that mellow part, and then Nat Attack.
And there's no
got some. Yeah. Oh, it's got some like cool cadence drumming from Philly E. Hart. I love unison keyboard violin lines, and then we get like a wild sounding keyboard solo. And I just think the band ends this track on this like chromatic scale build up, and it goes into the main music from Howling at the Moon again. I love that. So yeah, and I wrote down too. I think this is one of the rare tracks in the early years that actually credits everybody. It's not just Walsh or Livgren or Dave Hope and Steve Walsh, and so I thought that was cool too. So yeah. I think I talked about Magnum Opus as long as Magnum Opus is, so I will shut up now.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell you like how long each part is, so you can't even like go by that and be like, okay, well now I know what. There's nothing else to know.
The only 2 I'm sure about is the first 2. I'm not really entirely sure about it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's on Wiki. Maybe it's on Wikipedia and it tells you, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't look there, but yeah, you can't go wrong with anything on this one, man.
Let me make sure I got the order of the albums here because I have them in my pile here, and I want to make sure I go to the right one because I don't have all of them. Is it Monolith would be the no? Point of No Return is next. Okay.
Well, Sydney, you gotta.
I still gotta pick my song. Yeah. Well, mine's not gonna be too. I don't know. Mine's not gonna be what would you call it? An exciting pick, I should say. I'm going with the hit, "Carry On Wayward Son." It's the one song that
hard to deny.
Classic rock radio plays that I still don't care when I hear it. Like it's, like I won't shut it off. Like it's not one of those songs that the radio plays and you'll skip it, right? Like I don't care, I'll let it play, and it's just, I love that song. Yeah, obviously it's the song that got me into Kansas because it's the most well known.
Mine too.
And then I figured, okay, well, they got to have more than this. It's a great song, but they've got to have other great songs too. And I really love "Carry On Wayward Son." Like I said, I can hear that over and over again. Steve Walsh is playing like basically like John Lord on that song. He's going nuts, and there's the live footage of him like jumping up and around in his shorts, like shirtless, and he's like jumping up and down, and he's still playing the keyboard. Like, how the hell is this guy doing this? Yeah, it's just a great class. Don't need to go into it too much. Everyone's heard the song a million times, I'm sure. Yeah, just a great song, just fantastic lead work. It just seems like it's just going to be like this simple ballad, but there's just so many changes, and it just
like changes every like 40 seconds.
For a radio song, like it's not really commercial, really, when you think about it. For all the changes,
no, not at all. Really.
Other than the chorus, there's really no real commercial appeal, I guess you could say, because it's lots of changes. Still a progressive rock song, really. But yeah, it's a great one of those hit songs I don't get sick of, that I can hear.
Cool.
So,
could I add?
Kyle.
Yep.
No, you first.
Well, I want to mention Kyle said in the chat, it's cool that a song is intricate and proggy as "Carry On Wayward Son" can become a huge hit.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
I agree with that 100%. Yep.
Yeah.
And just two things to add about the song fast. It was the last song.
Yeah.
They had
that's right.
finished the record.
Yeah.
And Kerry came into the band rehearsal the next day, and they were packing up the instruments. He said, "No, guys, I got this idea for a song." And they recorded "Carry On Wayward Son" at the last minute and added it to the album. And that's the song that broke them.
That's crazy.
So that's very cool.
Yeah.
And also, just about every season of the TV show Supernatural.
Yeah, you were going to mention
this was played on the last episode of every season, except I think the first season they used it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that brought Kansas to a whole new generation.
Yeah.
Because that show was on TV for like 13 years.
I have seen every episode, so I know what you're talking about.
Haven't, so.
Yeah, I haven't got there yet. I will eventually.
And Sydney, I just wanted to add my 2 cents worth.
Oh my God! Not to get sidetracked. There are some pretty funny scenes that are there's a lot of music related stuff in there. Like the one character's like big into classic rock, and the character that plays his brother, he's always like trying to get him into it, and his brother can't stand it. But in real life, he's the one that actually likes all that stuff. But there's a funny scene where one of the brothers, it all starts like in the very beginning. Not to give any spoiler alert, but people have seen a lot of it. I think it's old enough where you're not really spoiling anything at this point if you haven't seen. There's one of the main characters. His girlfriend gets killed. Like it's all about like fighting demons and stuff, right? And there's a demon that's like a fire demon, and basically kills his girlfriend. And his brother, he's got the BOC Blue Oyster Cult song "Fire of Unknown Origin" playing on the radio, and he's singing "Fire of Unknown Origin took my baby away."
You told me about that.
Yeah. And the look on his brother's face, it's hilarious.
I got one more thing about this album, because when I was watching that documentary, and they were talking about Steve Walsh kind of got writer's block during this time period. So
wow.
Kerry had to really write the majority of this album. So he would like go home, write something, bring it to the studio. So can you imagine bringing like "What's on My Mind" and Cheyenne anthems and Questions of My Childhood, all this stuff like every day, just crazy.
Davey had it on hand. There you go. Oh, all right.
My box set. My CDs here from my box set.
Nice. Now we're getting sidetracked with Supernatural talk. All right.
We gotta go to the point, man.
Had to throw that fun. Yeah, let's get to the point now.
We gotta go to the point of no return.
The only 70s album I do not own on CD. I don't know why, but yeah. Hot take, it's my least favorite of the 70s albums. I know it's going to get me crucified by the Kansas fans, but...
How dare you? How dare
I don't
you?
hate anything, it's just I like these other albums better, so it's like, yeah. I don't think it's a bad album at all. I just like it less than these others. But, yeah, still a
That's
really...
Joey's number one. That's
Oh, there you
Joey's
go.
favorite.
Still, there you go. So,
No,
still
you'll never see Joseph Pseudo on the show again.
Still a solid... yeah, he's going to uninvite me from his... Crocus and some other shows that I'm
Yeah,
anyway.
that's done now. Yep.
Anyways, yeah, we got Point of No Return, the first song, the title track. It's hard to read this because they got the band members right under the song in the exact same writing. So
yeah, they didn't even put parentheses or nothing.
No. Point of No Return, Paradox, The Spider, Portrait, and then in brackets he knew, Closest Chronicles, and then on the side
Closet.
Closet Chronicles.
He got close.
Closest, yeah, Closet Chronicle. It is Closet, yes. Lightning's Hand, Dust in the Wind, the big hit off of this, Sparks of the Tempest, and Helplessly Human. Oh, sorry, Nobody's Home. Yeah, see, I can't even read this because the writing is so... Nobody's Home and then Helplessly Human. So, what's Mr. Cretin's?
Album number 5 from 1977. I'm picking a Walsh Livgren composition. Another 6.5 minute song. A lot of my favorite songs by Kansas are around the 6.5 minute mark. Vocals by Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt. I'm picking the Closet Chronicles. Sorry.
You see? I read that because it makes more sense. Closest Chronicles. And then not Closet. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
And this is a song about Howard Hughes.
Okay.
Is the subject matter here. And it's proggy, it's elongated, it's got great playing, a lot of different sections, crazy time signatures, solos, and just Walsh's voice just simply soars on this song. So that is my pick from Point of No Return, Closet Chronicles.
Nice.
Cool.
The song that I mispronounced.
Hey, it was close enough. It was close enough.
No, I knew it was Closet. I was just reading this thing with that writing on there. It's just, yeah. All right, Logan, what do you got?
I went with a Livgren Walsh composition, I think, here. Yep. If I'm reading my parentheses right. Well, non-parentheses. Sparks of the Tempest is my favorite on this album.
Nice.
Wow.
And it kind of goes back to what Sydney was talking about with oh man, is it the song on Mask? Whatever Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt.
Child of Innocence?
Together. Yes. Because they do it on this one too.
Yeah.
And I love the interplay between this one because Robbie sings the verses and Steve sings the choruses, I believe. So just love that dynamic between the two singers. And I love the little fills the guitars play during the verses. I thought that was cool to listen to because I don't think Rich ever plays the same thing twice. And I love the bridge section too. It gives like a very epic feel. Big dramatic chords on the keyboard, giving way to a great Rich Williams guitar solo. With the rest of the band playing off this ascending chord progression underneath. And I love towards the end of the track when the guitar riff comes in and the additional percussion gives another different feel to the track. And some lead violin to fade out. But I love this one. I know it's kind of, I don't know if it's them. When I first wrote my notes, I was thinking it's kind of them starting to go in the simplistic rock route, but it's not, you know what I mean? Because I don't think that didn't really start until Audio Visions to me, and even then, they still have some crazy compositions.
Yeah, there's still.
I kind of erased that part in my notes because they do change. I mean, the first part sounds completely different. It almost has like a funk edge to it, a little bit, you know, in the verses. So yeah, I mean, I love this whole album too. So it really doesn't matter what I say. Any of these songs could be picked. So.
Yeah, so I went with, I'm sure you guys can probably guess what I'm going to pick based off of my taste in music. The Lightning's Hand.
You command
which
it?
Is, I command the Lightning's Hand, which is, I keep calling him Bobby. It's Robbie Steinhardt.
Robbie.
Robbie Steinhardt. Get that name right. All right, Robbie Steinhardt. Yeah, he's doing the vocals on here. Just a blazing, like, heavy rock song, but again, still lots of changes. Again, I think it's again another throwback to like the Equinox era or Equinox era Styx, that sort of sound, like heavy but the medieval kind of feeling. And just
I love
just
Robbie's
really
vocals
love
on
the
that,
song. I
yeah.
really love the sounds of like these heavy medieval rock songs, and his vocals really works well on stuff like that. So yeah, it's still a great album. Like I said, it's the one. And when I say least favorite, it doesn't mean I don't like it. So it's just there's so much. These first
the company it keeps, I mean,
these first 5 or 6 are just classics. So it's just there's not a bad song. I would go with Portrait He Knew, but I like the live version better, where they extend the solo at the end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'm going with Lightning's Hand. Just good heavy songs.
Paradox was close for me too, man. I love Paradox.
Paradox is good, but again, I like a lot of the. I think maybe that's why I like a lot of these songs better on the live album, because they extend a lot of them and they throw in a lot of extra stuff. So
I need to get
on the
CD
live
of that.
versions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get the extended one of that. Yeah,
because I've got the vinyl, but yeah,
nice.
the CD has like what, Davey, like 11 more tracks. It's pretty.
Yes, 11 tracks.
Christina's singing along to the title track now.
How long? To the point of no return.
Yep. So now we go over to Monolith. They're what album number? 5, 6? 6,
right?
Yeah,
6.
Yeah. Monolith. And we got On the Other Side, People of the South Wind, Angels Have Fallen, How My Soul Cries Out for You, A Glimpse of Home, Away from You, Stay Out of Trouble, and Reason to Be. So, Davey, you want to talk about? I'm not going to say it. I think I have a feeling what you're going to go with, but yeah.
We gotta talk about Rich though. Look, man, he traded his overalls.
I like the bow tie.
Yeah.
So is he not a natural redhead then? He had red hair on the first album. Just I don't know. Or Steve, yeah. There
Monolith is their 6th studio record. Once again, I'm picking a 6.5-minute song. Written by Terry Livgren. The first song, side 1, cut 1, On the Other Side. And I want to show off Let It Be Your Guide.
There you go.
Who wrote that book, Davey?
Our buddy, Tim Derlin.
There you go. Oh, and I've got something from Tim. He did send us a video, so we will play that at the end.
And I should point out a little promotion for all of us and Tim. Tim Derling's new book, Sing Me Away, the Night Ranger album review. We're all in it.
Yeah,
all of us are interviewed in various chapters. So you got to check it out. You see my little bookmark in there.
I've got the T-shirt. I gotta go. I don't know where it is though. I've got the T-shirt.
I have to order my T-shirt. I totally forgot. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
So the lyric, Let It Be Your Guide, that Tim named his Kansas book after, you see it there in bright red, is lyrics from the song On the Other Side.
Okay.
I love the way Walsh sings this song. It's so good. His vocal, the melodic chorus, and just the way his vocal just once again soars and jumps up right out of the mix, proving that he's one of the best singers of the 70s. I would say he's right up there with Plant. He's up there with Freddie Mercury. Maybe even Dennis the Menace from Styx, one of my favorite singers. So I'm going with the 6.5-minute album opener, On the Other Side.
It's a great song. I don't know if you ever picked that out. Is there a Styx song that reminds you of? Just the general arrangement of it.
I played it today.
You'll have to think about that one.
Man in the Wilderness. Kind of has that feeling. Starts off like a ballad, and then in the middle it gets like heavy.
And of course, Tommy Shaw was influenced by Kansas to write Man in the Wilderness.
Yeah. Well, him and
thought about that though.
Him and Steve Walsh have somewhat similar voices. They're close, but I don't know who I would prefer. I'd probably lean Steve Walsh, to be honest, but both great singers, right? There's a show.
Steve Walsh in his prime.
There's a battle. Steve Walsh versus Tommy Shaw.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would pick that. That's a tough one.
Well, we'll get into that later, huh? Curse you, cigarettes. Come on.
Yeah. So Logan, what's your pick gonna be on this?
Well, I'm gonna go with the side 1 ender and side 2 opener, technically, if you have the vinyl, because this track kind of fades into side 2 also, which is kind of weird, but it does. How My Soul Cries Out for You is my pick.
Wow.
Yeah, song wastes no time and introduces us to the main riff right out of the gate.
Yep.
You know, I like to jump up to the main riff with the added violin. Kind of like bluesy structure, like goes from E to A. I don't know what chords he's playing there. I was trying to figure it out last night. I was like, man, I can't figure this out. And like we were just saying, I think this also might be Steve Walsh at his peak vocally to me. Just love his vocals on I love his vocals on all this album. Like Davey said, On the Other Side, you know, everything about this album. The bridge section comes quite quick in this track. I'd say about 1:30 into it, with the No One Answered part, like the call and response vocal. And then it breaks into some of the band's heaviest music, with Phil E. Hart even playing like some double bass, I think. It sounds like he's playing double bass over these like great violin and keyboard lines. And the guitar, Rich Williams or Carey's holding like consistent eighth notes throughout that part. And towards the end of that section, we get guitar and violin doubling up for once. Because usually it's
back and forth.
Usually it's keyboard and violin. Usually Robbie
keyboard,
and Carey. Yeah. So it's kind of cool hearing Rich and Robbie kind of play off each other. They got this like syncopated rhythm section backs up this part nicely as well. I just think everyone in the band is on fire on this track, you know, and then it just stops and you hear this like door creaking open and yeah, it's like, what the hell? And it sounds like you're in like a packed room, like a restaurant or something, you know? And you hear like these numerous conversations starting up, and it's got this like jazzy like synth thing playing, like you're at like a fancy restaurant or something. And then you hear like a guy screaming, "Look out!" And you know, you got that glass bottle hitting the floor. And I read this. I don't know if this is true or not, and I don't know if they cover it in Tim's book. Apparently, when they got to that part live, they would like drop a fake body from the rafters, and like he'd fall on the stage. So I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, you know, I feel bad for the dummy, but yeah. And then you hear like a crowd gasp, and it leads back into the track with a great Phil E. Hart drum solo, like we talked about on Song for America and Camudro. Nice. He does one on here, which and it fades out, and then you get the whole band. Then you get the whole band like chanting the chorus with that fast and frenetic riff playing. And we get some great. This is probably some of my favorite lead guitar work. See, I don't know if it's Carey or Rich, but whoever's doing it, I mean, it's just awesome. And that carries out the original side 1 of the original vinyl. And then when you flipped it over to side 2, it started with the music after the fade out.
Yeah.
So technically, this is the last track on side 1 and the first track on side 2. I always thought that was interesting because it's got like the tape speeding up and then it goes to home starts. So this is definitely a highlight for me. It's one of my favorite Kansas songs too. So
cool. Nice. Well, you stole my notes. No, I'm kidding. It is my pick. However, it's my second favorite Kansas song. I would go with. I'd go Child of Innocence and then this. So yeah, everything you said.
Definitely top 10 for me.
That door. I'm not gonna get too much into it because you already went way. Yeah, the door creaking is kind of and then right after he yells "Look out," the guitar comes back in and it's just. Frantic and just
it's awesome.
That lead playing and just that drum solo though. Holy crap, that's probably my favorite drum solo by him. Like he's just smashing the drums away on just an underrated drummer. It's no one ever brings him up when you think of great drummers, but he's one of the best as far as I'm concerned.
Especially nowadays, you know.
I'd easily put him top 10. Maybe even higher. Maybe even higher.
I was going to mention this too when we were on Left Overture. There's a part in Magnum Opus, like 6 or 7 minutes into it. I seen somebody talking about it on YouTube. Neil Peart from Rush.
Okay.
He was asking Phil E. Hart how the hell he played that, how he counted it out. Like, man, you know you're good when he's like
asking for advice.
Yeah, right.
There you go. There you go, Phil. Phil, if you're listening.
Yeah, get on here, man.
Get on tour with Rush. Come on. Imagine he's probably the one that could actually probably do that. If you were to have Rush go out on tour, get Phil there with them. That would be awesome. Can you imagine?
Yeah, Phil's great.
Phil's a great drummer. So that brings us to this is where I gotta look this up because I don't have all of these.
We're
Yeah,
going into the 80s, ladies and gentlemen.
anyone?
Watch out.
Logan's got this one, right? You got audio. Okay. So yeah, we come to Audio Vision. It's kind of a cool album cover, actually. I don't mind it. But
Actually, one of my favorite album
it
covers.
is actually a pretty cool album cover, actually.
The back cover, however,
that should have been the front cover. Come on.
he's sweating very profusely.
Is that supposed to be one of the band members or anything, or is that just like a generic like drawing of some random?
Sure.
Probably one of their crew members.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's That's an interesting album cover.
And he's like looking at the band on the TV down here.
It's really weird. Cool. Yeah, very cartoony. So we got Relentless, which was the single, was it? No, Hold On and Got to Rock On. Wow. Anyways, Relentless, Anything for You, Hold On, Loner, Curtain of Iron, Got to Rock On, Don't Open Your Eyes, No One Together, No Room for a Stranger, and Backdoor. And yeah, this was still the classic original lineup.
Last one, right, guys?
Barely holding on by a thread here. So this album didn't really do much of anything. I don't think there was really any hits.
There was a hit on it,
but nothing really.
Right, I mean, kind of.
Yep.
Like it didn't. I don't know if it really charted or did all that well compared to the older material. But yeah, I went gold in the States, but some of their previous ones went platinum, right? So it was kind of a little bit of a dip. So.
Yep.
Well, the band were fighting. Well, they were fighting amongst themselves a little because Kerry was becoming a born-again Christian, as was Dave Hope, and the other guys were sort of living the rock and roll lifestyle, so they were butting heads. And this is the last album for a little while with Steve Walsh on lead vocals. For the 7th studio album, Audio Visions, I am picking the big hit that I definitely heard on pop radio and rock radio back then. Hold On, a little under 4 minutes. And I'm choosing this because it's got an amazing vocal performance by Steve Walsh. I think his voice is amazing on this song. And just the way he's vamping and ad-libbing at the end of the song as he and Robbie Steinhardt are singing the chorus, maybe in the studio, maybe Kerry Livgren's also singing the chorus. But the way he's singing on top of them, great vocal performance. My choice from Audio Visions, Hold On, written by Kerry Livgren.
All right. Yeah, this never got played on the radio. It's certified wheat in Canada. I think it didn't. It went gold in the States. It did nothing. I didn't even know anything like got played on the radio from this at all because you never
Got to Rock On, Relentless, maybe
no.
even Loner.
Like the only Kansas song you'll ever hear on the radio is "Carry On Wayward Son" and "Dust in the Wind." I've never heard any other Kansas song ever on the radio.
Point of No Return, they play a lot.
Yeah, a few times, but not very often. Not very often though. It just seems to be the
three.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's cool that Hold On actually got airplay somewhere else, but that's they're in the States. But but it should have been a bigger album because I actually think it's a pretty decent album. So
it's still a very good album.
Yeah, it still sounds like Kansas to me. Like it still sounds like it's 80, but it still sounds like it's a 70s album to me.
Yeah, they haven't really went further into the
still has the traditional. Yeah.
Well, a lot of the songs are shorter and more streamlined on this
album.
Yeah,
that's for sure, Davey. Yeah. Well, yeah, like Loner's only like 2:20, isn't it? It's pretty short.
Yeah.
Well.
So Logan Overture.
So I went with a track which is older actually. It was supposed to be on Monolith, but I guess Steve Walsh and Kerry Livgren couldn't agree on having 2 or 4 songs Walsh, 4 songs Livgren on that album. So it got stacked for my track earlier, How My Soul Cries Out For You. I'm going for No One Together, which is the 8th track.
Okay.
Yep. Like I just said, all that stuff. Track's very similar to most of Livgren's pieces, heavy on the unison piano and violin lines. But I really think Phil Ehart steals the show on this one, especially the little nuances he throws in on the cat during the first. Don't hit the cat, Phil. Don't hit the cat. But
use a cat as a drum.
the little nuances he throws in a minute in on the drums, I thought that was cool. And then Walsh comes in on the vocals with the keyboards. It reminds me of the section in Wayward Son, kind of when it's just him and the keyboards. Robbie adds a strong backing vocal in the chorus section that's very memorable to me. And I also like the slight changes in structure from verse to verse because Robbie's violin takes more of a forefront in the second verse. And then the bridge of this track, just another highlight for Walsh's vocals. I just think Kerry and Walsh just worked together to great effect on all this stuff. Kerry knew what worked for Steve, and Steve knew how to deliver the songs the best way possible vocally. Like what Davey was talking about. Like, I mean, really, Phil is he's the genius of this band because he was like, I need to get these two guys together and make this work.
Yeah,
you know?
pretty much.
Yeah, and I like how Rich gets to show off a little bit on this track as well. About 4.5 minutes in, he takes a solo, a little 4-bar solo, before the track breaks down into a new section with added percussion and some great build-ups. But yeah, I think it would have made a nice addition to Monolith too. But it works great on Audiovision too. And this is another one too. I could probably pick anything on here. I mean, it's great stuff. So yeah,
great choice.
Cool. So I went with the shortest song on the album, which is Loner. Starts off with Steve Walsh just screaming Loner.
Loner. Yeah.
You know, and after, and I love how if you're listening to the album, Hold On ends, and it's just that.
Yeah.
It's awesome, man.
And then it's just the fast-paced, up-tempo rock song. But it does get gets, I guess, mellow, if you really want to call it mellow. There's the mellow. But again, 2 minute and 30-second song, but there's still all these changes crammed into 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It's incredible. Because it starts off as just like a simple, like fast-paced rock song. And then it kind of turns into something else, then goes back to that, and then you got the short little solo. My only complaint is a little bit too short. I would have liked it to be extended a little bit, but still a great song. I almost went with Curtain of Iron, but
I did.
That's another great one. There's a lot of great stuff on here. The only one that's kind of, I think, a filler is Got to Rock On. It's kind of it's okay.
I like that song.
It's a fun song, but compared to everything else,
Younger Davey's like, what the?
Relentless is a good one. I think it starts off strong with that opening riff.
Yeah. Anything for you? All of it's good.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff on here. But yeah, I went with Loner, so that's my pick. Went with Loners. Loner! I love how he starts off. Yeah, his voice. He's got such a good range, right? I love when he gets a little bit of the rasp in his voice. So, yeah, great singer. So then that brings us to Vinyl Confessions, which, Tim Derling's channel was named after. Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I always wondered that. I always meant to ask him that. And I think, Davey, you confirmed that.
Oh,
me,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
Our buddy from the Canadian Maritimes.
I like to say Kansas got it from him.
Of course, the big thing with this one, right, guys? We lost Steve Walsh.
They were in New Brunswick, Canada, and heard him use the term Vinyl Confessions. And back in '82, we're gonna rewrite history here.
Yo.
So this was produced by Tim Derling. No. It's funny. Miles Goodwin plays on this. No. So we got Vinyl Confessions. But Roger Taylor actually does. He was recording a solo album in the studio next door and contributed background vocals on a handful of these. So a lot of those high vocal harmonies are the great Roger Taylor, who's a great singer in his own right. Like,
I gotta bring up that documentary again because Brian May comes on that documentary.
Yeah,
and he's talking about playing with Queen or playing with Kansas and stuff. It's pretty cool. And there's even pictures of Robbie Steinhardt hanging out with Queen. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, so there you go. It's just so different from country to country. Like, you guys still stayed faithful to your bands. You're still getting played on the radio. But,
Yeah, they didn't want to hold on.
Thank you.
Yeah, like when I first heard this, I'm like, I've never heard any of these songs in my life, but like it was a great listen. It's just
what about this?
Still
what
a solid
about this one, Dave? Did you ever hear Play the Game Tonight on the radio, Dave?
That's a hit. Yes, that's one of the other ones that'll sometimes get played on Canadian radio. Not much, but it will get played.
Cool.
So yeah, this had a lineup change. Steve Walsh left and formed the band Streets, which is also actually a pretty solid album.
I could have brought that. I have it.
I actually prefer that Street stuff to this, but
Wow.
That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, John Elefante is here on vocals and keyboards. And then you still got everybody else from the previous lineup. Or from the previous albums, I should say. But yeah. So we get into the track listing here. You got the hit, Play the Game Tonight, which I'm sure a lot of people know. Right Away, Fair Exchange, Chasing Shadows, Diamonds and Pearls. And then side 2, you got Face It, Windows, Borderline, Play On, and Crossfire. So what's Mr. Cretin going to go with on this?
Okay, the 8th studio record, Vinyl Confessions, 1982. The song I'm picking is written by a lot of people. Kerry Livgren, Rich Williams with a rare songwriting credit, Phil Ehart, a guy named Danny Flower, and Rob Frazier. And I am picking the big hit, 3.5 minutes long, Play the Game Tonight, with a really good vocal performance by new boy John Elefante. And I just found out he's from Levittown, Long Island, right next to me here in Queens, New York.
Probably your next door neighbor.
I used to live in Levittown, but I'm sure he
Wow.
has moved out definitely by then, because I'm talking about the 90s, 2000s when I lived in Levittown. There was a video for this that got played on MTV, even though I personally did not have MTV at the time. But I saw it on Friday Night Videos, I think, on NBC, which was a show I used to stay up late to watch every Friday night. And it's a very commercial, poppy song. And you could tell by this album, without Walsh there, they're changing directions. And Kerry's songs are sort of more in a Christian rock vein. He's becoming religious. And now that Walsh is out of the band, he's taken over the band. So it's his vision in the band now, no pun intended for the last album title there. So my choice, it's a commercial song, and it's an unusual choice for such a prog guy like me. But I always loved the performance by Elefante. Play the Game Tonight. And I do have some chart action for this. It was actually a top 20 single in America. It hit number 17. In your country, Sydney, Canada, number 35. And on my favorite Billboard chart in America, the mainstream rock chart, baby, number 4. So this was absolutely played on rock radio back.
You call it a comeback album then, really.
Number 4 rock song. So my choice is Play the Game Tonight. Over to you, Logan.
Cool.
Mr. Right. John Fogerty here.
Yeah, John Fogerty.
What does John Fogerty think of this Kansas album?
Fogerty.
He wants to go up around the bend with this album.
Coming up around the bend.
So I didn't know this. I guess I was reading like the wiki page about Play the Game Tonight. It actually says my pick, because I picked Play On. Okay. It says on the album Vinyl Confessions, a follow-up to the song Play On is played near the end of the album. Never really thought about it being a follow-up, but I don't know, maybe it is. But yeah, pretty much everything you guys said kind of covered most of what I'm going to say. You know, introduction to new lead vocalist John Elefante is shown greatly on the track. He's a great singer. Band takes a more straightforward hard rock prog kind of approach on a lot of this album, and I think this song is the best example of that. John's vocals are really the highlight of the track. He's got like a very uncanny range to Steve Walsh. I think Sydney brought this up this week to me. You know, if you didn't know, I mean, he has a similar range to him.
Oh, they found a perfect singer, because I heard it. I'm like, if you didn't tell me, I would just think it's Steve Walsh singing a little bit differently. But like, yeah.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I just like the simple but effective shouted chorus to Play On. And the bridge shows some of John's extended range, with the track taking like this mellow feel, and you know, John singing like very emotionally. I love the little guitar solo we get at the end as well from probably Rich. I'm thinking here might be Kerry. But yeah, I only wish it lasted longer, because I think the track's like 3 minutes and
3:32. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, not long enough.
Yeah.
So because the solo gets faded out. So yeah, we'll Play On. So
it's cool to see a live version of that, because they're not going to fade out the solo line. It's kind of cool to see live footage of that. I don't know if they
You have to look.
So I went with a song that did have a music video, not Play the Game Tonight, but they had another song. I think there might have been 3 that had music videos, but I know Windows had a music video as well. It's on YouTube as well. So horrible video. The whole video, they just gets. And what's weird, John Elefante's playing guitar in the video and singing. I don't know if I don't think he actually played guitar on this, but in the video, he's just kind of prancing around singing with a guitar in his hand, pretending to play along with it with the rest of the band, and they just keep showing random shots of windows. It's just really random. It's just like, ugh.
It was the 80s, folks.
The song is way better than the video. It's funny. It's a fun video to watch. It's just totally ridiculous. Like, okay, we get it. The song is called Windows. Like, you need to just show Windows the entire time. It was like, oh my god. There you go. Joe Logan made that joke, but that yeah, they were the first ones to create the internet with Windows.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Come on, Bill Gates.
Windows.
That Windows should be the official song for.
Give Kerry Livgren his rights, damn it.
Again, another fast. It kind of reminds me of the Loner Part 2 from the previous album. Just kind of like a fast, high energy song. And yeah, John's got a great voice. Just a good driving, high energetic rock song. I just find, yeah, some of the songs on here, like, I'm glad you didn't pick them because I'm going to chastise some of these songs here. Like, I thought 3 in a row, there was some songs that were just, I think it was Chasing Shadows, Diamonds and Pearls, were just kind of like these, almost like laid back, almost bordering on elevator music on some of them. Very, just with the really mellow sax solos, and it's just, I don't know. Some of that stuff is just not for me. I think it was Chasing Shadows, Diamonds and Pearls, and maybe Face It, or was it Fair Exchange? I think it was Face It, maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
there's a couple in a row, yeah.
There's a couple in a row that's it's almost like smooth jazz. I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know, not my thing. But yeah, I went with Windows. I was scared you were going to pick one of the songs that I don't. I'm like, I don't think these guys are going to pick this stuff. There's no way. It was just too... It was just too far into like contemporary music for me. I thought it was very like adult contemporary kind of thing, but I think that's what they were going for with some of this, with John Elefante in the lineup. But that was great. Still, there's still a lot of great songs on here. Like, yeah, I do actually like Play the Game Tonight though. They were smart going with that as the let's try to make that the hit, because that's definitely has hit all over, and it's a catchy song. So.
Yeah.
So you're not an adult yet, Sid. Yeah, there we go. I don't like adult contemporary because I'm not an adult yet. There we go. Whatever the hell that means. This is a weird genre name anyways. Adult contemporary. What the hell does that even mean? Oh. Alright, so then we get to, what's next? We got Davey's #1 album of all time.
Drastic times call for drastic measures, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's not even the band on the cover, is it? I certainly hope not.
Nope,
no,
it's
just
not.
some random.
No.
I'm like, the one guy kind of looks like it could be Steve Walsh, but he's not even in the band. So, yeah, Drastic Measures. What album are we on here? 9th studio.
Yep, #9.
And we got
background here.
#9.
Yep, same lineup as the previous album, only this time Mr. Steinhardt is gone. The violin. They threw the violin into the trash and replaced it with, I don't know what they replaced it with. Nonsense?
I don't think they were. Yeah. You could say that, I guess.
It was hard. There was one song I even like on this. Just one song. Like, I almost went, I'm listening to this and I'm like, I'm going to have to go with our last show that we did. One of our guests, he couldn't pick something, and he's just like, I'm sorry, guys, there's nothing I could pick. The whole album sucks. It was on one of the Fastway albums. He's just like, nothing.
Wasn't that Joey?
I think back to back, I think Joey and Brian both said there's nothing I like on this album, so I couldn't pick a song. That almost happened with this. But then there was one song on here, to me, that stuck out like a sore thumb, which we'll get into, but... Davey, so talk about Get Rich.
No. I think it was the second YouTube show I ever did with Joey Sudo on his
I've seen
channel
that. I've seen that. Yes.
on Rock Show Critique, and I really critiqued Get Rich because
It's
probably
ridiculous.
the worst Kansas song in the
It's
catalog
rough.
to me anyway.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the good thing, or my favorite song on here. It hit #3 on the mainstream rock chart in Billboard.
Wow.
It hit number 116 on the UK.
Oh, I know what you're going on.
Chart.
Okay. Yeah.
Number 58 on the US Billboard chart. Written by John and his brother Dino Elefante. 3 minutes 40 seconds. Vocals by John Elefante. the big hit, and there was a great concept video for this song. Fight Fire with Fire is my choice. And after making a lot of cheesy videos that MTV showed, like for Windows and even Play the Game Tonight's a little cheesy, Fight Fire with Fire has a great concept video.
Okay.
And I remember going to my parents' friend's house on Long Island. They had MTV in the early 80s. I didn't have it here in Queens. And I saw the video and I said, oh, it's a cool video, great song. This was played on rock radio back in 1983. It's a great song with a really good guitar riff. Really grinding riff. Got some nice textural keyboards on it. And another excellent vocal performance from Mr. Elefante, John Elefante here.
So that is a guitar.
Fight Fire with Fire.
So that is a guitar doing that. So that is a guitar doing that. It's hard to tell. It almost sounds like it could be a keyboard, that riff. But that is a guitar riff.
It's a guitar.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. But it almost has like an effect on it, right? Like it kind of seems like it has some sort of. That is a cool. Well, yeah. All right.
Might as well get into it, guys, because that's the one I picked too. So, yeah.
Like, only the second time. This is only the second crossover.
Well, I'm breaking the crossover, so but yeah, go into it.
I think the guitar thing at the start. I think it's like a tremolo effect because it sounds like the tremolo like cuts the notes up into like certain quarter notes, so it's kind of making that noise like the because he's not playing like every note of that. I think he's just playing the first note of every bar, so it's kind of weird. But
it's a cool effect, though.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. The first time I heard that song, I was like, wow, that just hooks me into that song. And it goes to this like laid back thing during the verses, which I like. Yeah, and John and his brother Dino wrote a majority of this album, right? I think.
Oh yeah, 6 out of 9 songs, I think.
So,
well, Kerry only had 3 songs.
Yeah, Kerry writes 3, and yeah, but yeah, I just love Fight Fire with Fire. Love the chorus. It's kind of got this like anthemic quality to it. And I ended my notes with this is far and away from the Kansas we knew in the 70s, but I still think there's some redeemable qualities to be found on the Elefante album. So, and I actually like Drastic Measures more than I like Vinyl Confessions. I don't know if that's
really?
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's a controversial take. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's a contrarian take.
That's a very yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they're both not great here. All right, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
I think they were my bottom 2, maybe.
I think they were, Davey. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did not go with. I actually do not like Fight Fire with Fire, but to me, I don't know. It sounds too 80s rom-com to me. I don't know. Like it sounds like something you play at the end of a movie credits. I don't know. But
it does. Yeah, it does sound like 80s
sounds very like an 80s soundtrack thing. It's just I like the opening riff when it starts, but for me, I find it gets a little bit old. I don't know. You guys love it. It's very catchy, so I can see why that was a hit.
Go ahead and tell us why "Get Rich" is the best song on this album.
Oh, Get Rich, God no. I'm like, okay, this song's kind of cool and quirky. Is there gonna be some cool shredding like solo in here? I'm like, yeah, no, there's nothing.
Oh.
You know what song Get Rich kind of reminds me of? Except it's nowhere near as good. It's terrible compared to is that Cheap Trick song 3D.
Oh,
kind of like a weird, quirky song. But 3D has that wicked solo in the middle where he's just going nuts. But
3D is the one they switch Robin Zander's vocals a lot too, right?
I think his
vocals like change a bunch.
Yes. But I actually like 3D. Anyways, not to get sidetracked, but yeah, no, I went with End of the Age. To me, this sounds like a song that could have been on the older material. It starts off,
song too,
yeah, it's one of the Kerry Livgren ones. It starts off as kind of like a somewhat of a ballad, but it just kind of builds, and then at the end, it really comes to life. I actually really like this song. I actually was pleasantly surprised. Like I was listening to this, and I'm just waiting for like a song to like grab me and just like I'm not gonna pick anything from this. And then that came on. I'm like, thank God, this is a great song. Like, I feel like this could have fit on like Point of No Return or something, one of the older albums, because it's still it's probably the only progressive rock song on here. Everything else was just kind of like made for radio pop music for the most part. And it's just glad no one went with Andy because that song's
I thought you were gonna go with that for a second.
No, and really? You thought I would go with Andy? Come on.
I'm joking. I'm
No,
joking.
no way. You thought I was gonna go with. Yeah, End of the Age, but great songs. Probably the one, like I said, mainstream is okay. It kind of drags a little bit, but
Yeah, it does not need to be 6:36.
no. It's like they tried to make it a rock song with the soloing, but then it's just kind of like, okay, it's not really that memorable. But End of the Age for me is the one memorable one on this one. So I went with End of the Age. So I thought Davey was going to pick End of the Age because it's the proggy song. But Davey's like, I hate that damn song. No. Get Rich is definitely
not Get Rich.
Get Rich is just, oh boy, that's a
rough
one.
They're just going through the motions on that.
Get Rich is just, I don't know what they were thinking.
Going through the motions. Yeah, we're going.
That's a better song, Davey. That's a better song.
So this brings us to Power. This is an original release too, from like 80 whatever, 86.
1986, album number 10.
Old CD, really old CD. Yeah. So we got some interesting song titles on here. So yeah, we got the lineup now has changed actually. Let's go over that a little bit first. So we got
two new members.
Yep. So Steve Walsh comes back.
Yep.
Dave Hope was out because he actually became an ordained minister.
Yep.
Which Logan pointed out is kind of ironic because it's Dave Hope. Minister, kind of Hope in the end.
Right, yeah.
That whole concept, but yeah. Dave Hope became an ordained minister, bass player, so he was replaced by Billy Greer from Streets, which was the band that Steve Walsh was in when he was out of Kansas. So I guess
he brought his buddy along with him.
Dave left. I don't know what the story is if they kicked Dave out. I think Dave just left. I don't think there was like, get out, I'm bringing my bass player with me. I don't think there was any of that going on. I think it was probably just he left. And they needed a bass player, and
I think Dave left to join Kerry's band AD.
So, okay. So yeah, he left with Kerry. Kerry Livgren was out on guitar, and in came Steve Morse, who I don't think at this point. Well, Dregs were kind of popular, but they weren't like a big draw. I don't think the Dixie Dregs, right?
I would say they were a cult band.
They were more of a cult band, but they're not one of those bands where you can just name to somebody and they're going to, oh, yeah. But I think this probably got him some more attention because Kansas was a really well-known band. And then he's played with so many people. He played on the Worst Triumph album.
The 2 out of 10.
The 2 out of 10. But he played on the one great song on there. So I'll give him that, Headed for Nowhere. So yeah, him and Rick Ebbett were good buddies. But I played it, and then of course ended up in Deep Purple for years. This probably landed him. I mean, yeah, this is a bit earlier, but would you say that this landed him the Purple gig?
No, I think just his whole career up to that point.
Just his whole career in general.
Dregs in Kansas, and his solo career too.
Yeah. And then Billy Greer came in on bass from the band Streets that Steve Walsh was in when he was out. So yeah, but everyone else is still the same. Kerry's gone, and then so we got first song, Silhouettes in Disguise. Got the title track, Power. All I Wanted, Secret Service, We're Not Alone Anymore. Then a little instrumental called, not little, it's 3 minutes, and Musicato, Taking in the View, 3 Pretenders, Tomb 19, and Can't Cry Anymore, which is a cover of The Producers, which is a new wave band. So it's interesting that they did a cover on here. So then we got, so what's the Atman have to say about Power? Do you have the power?
Yes, I do. My choice was a big single, or the big single from the album. I am picking the popular song, shortest song out of all my choices today, 3 minutes, 20 seconds, written by the 2 Steves. I'm going with All I Wanted, which was a big radio hit. There's a bad video for it. Cheesy, dated-looking video for it, but it hit the top 20 again. A number 19 single on the Billboard chart, number 14 on the adult contemporary chart.
Yeah, see, there's that word again.
Adult contemporary.
And then it hit number 10, a top 10 single on the mainstream rock chart in Billboard, baby. In Canada, number 75, and on the Canadian adult contemporary chart, top 10, number 10 again.
I'm looking at it now.
It's a very melodic song. It has some nice Steve Morse soloing at the end of the song, but I wish it was a little louder and higher in the mix. And Walsh comes back to the band. He brings his bass player from Streets, and it's sort of like in Iron Maiden when Bruce came back with Adrian Smith for the Brave New World album, which I'm taping a show on Grab a Stock. Sorry,
grab a stock?
Grab my stock. Grab a stack of rocks. Sorry, Mike. I'm taping a show in a few days with Mike Ladano, our friend from Canada, and his buddy Harrison on the Brave New World Iron Maiden album for their series 50 Years of Iron Maiden. But it's similar to that, where the singer comes back that everyone wanted back with the classic sound. And I like Steve Walsh's vocal performance on here. His voice is still good, and he sounds great. He soars. He sings right above the music, and it's a great pop rock song. It's catchy. I just wish the guitar were a little louder in the mix on this particular song. So that's my choice, all I wanted.
Sweet. Cool. Is that all Logan wants? Let's see what he goes with.
Actually, I want some Silhouettes in Disguise. So, yeah, the opening track on the album. It's full of hard rock energy, and I think it really shows like the revamped lineup of the band in their best form on the album. There's some really great hard rock kind of songs on this, and I really like the instrumental. I almost went musicado because I wish they would have done instrumentals more, because I think they really could do them very good, but they just didn't do them enough. Like the Spider. This one. There's
talking about that.
There's one on the Absence of Presence too. I can't remember what it's called. It's pretty good. But yeah. Where I was at. So we got palm muted guitar chords in the verses, and they sing nicely into the grand nature of the chorus on the track. Love the changes on this track as well. It really retains the progressive feel the band had lost on the last few albums, which George was talking about, because he said Power is a good album, and I said I think this is a good return to form after the last two. Because I think the last two albums they were trying something different, and it didn't entirely work for me. But I think this is just like this works better in my opinion than what they were doing. And having Steve Walsh there too probably helps. And he hasn't completely lost the vocal yet. You can kind of start hearing the strain here a little bit, but not nearly. Yeah, like a little. Like it's not nearly as much as it would later on. But yeah, and I love Steve Morse. He delivers some great leads on this album, with the song being no exception. And you can definitely tell when it's Steve Morse playing the leads. That's the one, because Rich, I love Rich Williams, but he can't play like Steve can. Steve's like doing all this crazy guitar theatrics, like fast runs and. But yeah,
and he has that tone, that great tone.
Tone. Yep. Yeah, and I'm gonna end it here. It's kind of a cliffhanger. I only wish they would have utilized him best, or would have utilized him a little bit more on the album we're gonna talk about next. So,
well, I'll get into that. Don't worry. Yeah. So yeah. Well, what are we on here? Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm like dozing off. I'm so tired. Jesus. We're still on Power, right? Okay, yeah, we are.
We're still on Power.
I'm just, yeah. So, Logan is my Silhouette, because that's the song I went with. So,
yep.
Yeah, I went with Silhouettes in Disguise, and this is where I'll contradict myself, because this, to me, does sound a little bit 80s movie credit as well, at some point. But it's a more rock and upbeat song. It's got that heavy riff comes in. Right off the bat. As soon as I put this album on, I'm like, oh, that's a wicked opener, that riff. Just a fun, high-energy song, all the reasons that Logan said, and yeah, we're running along here, so we gotta make it somewhat quicker on my turns here. So, yeah, all the reasons Logan says, Silhouettes in Disguise, just fast-driving, high-energy rock song. Which brings us to the first album you said you ever heard, right?
In full, I think.
In full. Yes. Okay, so that brings us to In Spirit of Kings. Farewell to the Spirit.
In the Sport of Kings. Yeah.
in the Sport of Farewell Kings. Yeah. In the spirit of things. With this really old CD with the
this
white
is one of the best
side.
Air quotations concept albums.
Is it a concept? Right, well, I don't know what the concept is because it's lost on
no one really does. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is look at the record label it's on.
Well, yeah.
It is on MCA, which stands for the Music Cemetery of America.
Yep.
And they sort of buried this album, unfortunately. There was a big regime change after MCA signed Kansas for the Power album and this album. And it shows on this album. I'll let you take it, Sydney.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at writing credits, and I don't want to get into a whole Bob Ezrin rant, but I've got the controversial take where I don't really like any of the much of the albums that he's produced.
I love Bob Ezrin.
So, and he's Canadian too, but Alice Cooper, I'll give him credit. I love the Alice Cooper stuff. But some of the other stuff, like Destroyer is a bottom Kiss album for me. I know that's a hot take,
Destroyer.
but
Kiefer, hold your
right.
hold your.
What else is there? What else has he ruined? No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just
didn't
kidding.
ruin the wall.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Nothing against Bob personally. It's not really into the. I don't know. I think he got involved in a little bit too much of the writing sometimes. Sometimes it worked, right? Like at least it worked for Kiss and they had hits. This is like nothing. Like I don't know. Maybe he's just the wrong guy to help write for Kansas. He's not a prog rock guy, really. Like,
I can't blame him completely though, because four of these songs aren't even they're
There's
outside writers.
There's other people like Mark Spiro, Dan Huff. I don't know. I'm not sure who. Yeah, there's
Dan Huff from the band Giant. Great guitar.
Oh, really? Okay.
Great producer.
Okay.
And he worked with Megadeth.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's just so many outside people though. It's like, but I mean, they're also there's a lot of stuff written by the band itself, so you can't really fault it on everybody else. But maybe that's just coincidence. I don't know. But yeah. All right. So we got Ghosts, One Big Sky, Inside of Me, One Heart, One Man, One Heart. Even these song titles are just kind of like House on Fire, Once in a Lifetime, Stand Beside Me. There's a theme here. Is the theme love? Is that the theme?
That should have been the concept, yeah, probably.
I Counted on Love, The Preacher, Rainmaker, T.O. Witcher, which is just kind of like a short little instrumental, and then The Bells of St. James. So, Davey, what are you going with?
This was one of the hardest choices for me because two of my favorite Kansas songs are actually on this album.
Wow.
At the end of the record, I am going with a song written by Walsh Morse and Bob Ezrin. 6 minutes, 44 seconds, vocal by Walsh and the choir on this song. And I am picking Rainmaker over Bells of St. James because it's very theatrical. I like Walsh's vocals on the song. It starts out very mellow. He's sort of speaking and singing sort of at the same time. He's vacillating back and forth. And you get this choir coming in, and it just builds to this powerful song. It's got a nice proggy midsection. You get some cool guitar work from Steve Morse. So I am choosing Rainmaker as my choice from this particular platter.
All right, Logan. You ready to get into the spirit of things and pick something?
Yeah, Bells of St. James, and they dropped the CD. That was my pick.
Really? Okay.
Yep. That's kind of one of the ones that actually goes with the concept, I think. Like Davies kind of goes with the concept. Because I guess the concept is supposed to be about this town in Kansas called Neosho Falls, right? Yep. And I guess they got flooded in 1951. And it kind of just like destroyed the town and everything. So like Rainmaker is supposed to be like about the guy that summoned the rain, I guess, for the crops, but it like was way too much rain, you know? And like this one is about like a soldier who's away from the town and his wife's writing him letters. And I guess, you know, she's writing him like stuff like, oh, I can't wait to be with you forever and la da da da, you know. But, you know, then the flood comes and the letters kind of stop being so positive. And the guy, and I guess he couldn't just say, hey, our town got flooded. We don't have a home anymore. She just kind of stops being all positive, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. So that's what they're like alluding to with the Bells of St. James. Like, is the Bells of St. James still ringing, you know? Kind of like, is the church still there? But, it's an okay track. I like the chorus. Pretty full.
Great chorus.
Sounding. Yeah, I love that, man. That's probably one of the best choruses on the album, I think. Morse even gets some time to solo. I like that Morris solos a little bit on this track.
Yep.
But yeah, that's all I had to really say about it. I'm pretty new to the albums with this one, so I'd probably have to give it more time. But I'm kind of in the Sydney camp on this one. It's not like the best thing in the world, but I like that song. So
yeah.
Yep.
That was my number 2 choice.
For me, I like this almost as much as Drastic Measures. As little, I guess I should say. I don't know. To me, they're neck and neck for. I don't know. I struggled with this one. This one was actually, well, I shouldn't say a struggle. This was actually an easy choice because there was, again, one song that I even liked on here. Like, we're not rating these, but I'd give it a 1 out of 10. It's brutal.
Damn, it's worse than Surveillance, Davey. It's worse
lower than Surveillance.
I had to give something lower than Surveillance. It's 1 song out of 12. Is that 1 out of 10? That's probably less. Probably 0.5, 0.3. I don't know. I don't know what that is mathematically. I'm sorry, Davey, but
this was in the middle of the pack when I ranked the albums.
Wow. Yeah, I might have this one at the bottom. I don't know. Like just.
I think a lot of people do actually.
Very.
Probably, yeah.
It did not get me into in the spirit of things when I heard this.
Oh shucks.
Oh, just I don't know. Nothing's
What's
really.
your choice?
Anyways, come on. You could probably guess it, knowing me.
T.O. Witcher.
No, T.O. Witcher. No, Logan. See, Logan, the co-host knows me. Yeah, House on Fire was my pick. Or did I tell you? I can't even remember.
No, that's the most rocking song. It'll make sense.
Yeah, for me, it's House on Fire. It has that memorable sing-along chorus. I actually think that's a really good song, so it stood out to me on this album.
It is.
Love that chorus. Almost like to me, it reminds me of where Deep Purple would almost go in the '90s with Steve Morse. So it kind of has that some really cool keyboard work in it. Really
organ playing by Steve Walsh. Yeah.
Really infectious chorus. Just really fun. Just a straightforward rock song, really. And I thought, like, if you're, I don't know. To me, you're not going to get any like the prog stuff really on this because they weren't really much of a prog band anymore at this point.
Yeah, maybe a little. It's not
more going from like straightforward rock and pop songs, but I just find a lot of it's just very. Like, I can't even remember how most of this goes, to be honest. House on Fire is the one that sticks out for me. And it's a shame, but yeah. I mean, you can't love every album by your favorite bands, right? So it's just one of those really weird album cover too. Like, what's going on here?
They're getting
not a great album cover.
It's just really
didn't help.
Strange, like really, really strange.
The whole thing is weird, weird.
Well, you want to talk bad album covers? That's
what. What's wrong with this guy?
Brings us to Chewbacca.
Goodbye.
Chewbacca got sent away to a insane asylum.
His little doggy or whatever.
Chewbacca and a straitjacket. I don't know. It's just really weird. Hey, Freaks of Nature. Why didn't they ask us to be filmed for this? We could have been on the album cover. Looks like Chewbacca. I swear that is Chewbacca. Anyways, yeah. So, you see, exactly. Like, would this make you buy? I bought this because it was like in some little file. Like there's a store here called Giant Tiger. Look, they're going to be our sponsor now because I just promoted their store. Yeah, it's a small Canadian chain. It's kind of like just a small grocery store. Not really small, but yeah. Anyways, and they had like a little small CD section. I don't know if they still have it. I've been there in ages. But like up at the cash register, there'd be like just a few CDs. Most of them are just like these weird comps and like greatest hits, but they had this there. And I'm like, oh, that's really weird. I didn't even know if it was like a new studio album at the time or anything. I just saw it was there. I'm like, oh, this might be. I don't know what this is. But I looked at it, didn't recognize any of the songs. So I'm like, oh, this must be another album that I don't own by them. So I just grabbed it. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Probably this.
I like this one quite a bit.
I would put this above maybe even Audio Visions. I would put it that high.
That's tough, man. That's tough.
I think it's actually a great, solid album. But yeah, it's a shame that the album cover probably prevented it from selling. I don't know. Did this sell? Was there any really charts? Don't really exist anyways anymore, other than like streams, right?
Well, this is from 1995.
Yeah, 95. So there was still charting.
It was on a small label. It was on a tiny label, Intersound, right?
Yeah. This is Sony Music. Sony Music in Japan though. So they still had.
Still on Sony.
Yeah, well, Japan always kind of tended to really stay committed to their bands, it seems. So,
Plus, we got violin back, guys. We got violin.
Yeah, the return of the violin. It's not Robbie, but it's David Ragsdale, who joined the band. So you got pretty much the classic lineup here, with minus Carrie and Robbie. They're a pretty big part of the classic lineup. But yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got Greg Robert also here on keyboards. So
yeah, Billy Greer came back.
Yeah, Billy Greer. Yeah. So yeah, you got Freaks of Nature, which is with that wonderful album cover. So recorded in Trinidad of all places. I guess maybe they were on vacation when they recorded this. I don't know. It's just really strange. They recorded this in Trinidad. But it's a great album. So we got off the bat here. We got I Can Fly, Desperate Times, Hope Once Again, Black Fathom 4, Under the Knife, Need, the title track, Freaks of Nature, Cold Gray Morning, which is credited as writer as Kerry Livgren. So
exactly.
I'm curious on the story on that is because he's not on the album. So I'm wondering what that's all about. Maybe Davey can probably explain that. And then Peaceful and Warm ends off the album. 9 songs. So yeah, so Davey, do you want to maybe explain what that's all about? Because I'm looking at that, I'm curious about.
They remained on good terms, actually.
Yeah.
They probably, because Walsh, as a songwriter, he's not as prolific as Kerry was. So they were probably talking. It was probably Phil Ehart talking to Kerry about it, and he gave him the song. He gifted the song to them, which was very cool. It still showed that they had ties back to the original lineup from back in the early 70s, the heyday, as we like to call it.
Yeah, I remember watching an interview with Rich Williams, for people don't know, the guitar player with the eye patch, right? Everyone kind of knows him to having that look, right? He had I don't know I can't remember what the story was, why he ended up with but yeah.
Playing with fireworks as a kid, he lost
was that what happened?
His eyes,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it was him that made the joke, at least my Halloween costumes are cheap or something. He made that joke. It was just like, oh my God. It was really funny. But yeah, I was watching like an interview with him, like one of the more recent, I guess a couple years now, but he was mentioning that, like how he's like, I never say no to any of my former band members. We've done shows where we've had like all the former members just join us on stage at one point, and they've had like 12 people up on stage. It's everybody come on up and just jam. But he's just like, I get disgusted, and it like, he's like, I just can't stand like see all these bands and these guys in their 70s bitching and complaining about arguments that they had when they were in 20s, and they won't talk to each other. And he's just like, we're always welcoming anyone that's ever been in the band wants to come and join us. We're all like brothers, even if we're not in the same band together anymore. So yeah, they never really they had that infighting early on, but they never allowed it to like drag it out throughout their whole life, right? They're over all that, so it's good. Yeah, they always
some bands. Sticks, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a shot at the Sticks with those comments, but yeah,
they did tour together.
Yeah, Kansas, they do seem like down-to-earth guys. Didn't let the egos get in the way. Like I said, all those lineup changes, not that many lineup changes, but a few. But like I said, all former members still get along with the current members and even like the new guys and stuff. So it's like this one big happy Kansas family. I mean, we lost Robbie, right? So he passed away, unfortunately. Great violin, my #1 favorite violin player. I can't really name any other violin players. Just being stupid, but yeah, though he's very talented. He was very talented. Yeah, he lost him way too soon. But yeah, so let's get into the. Oh, I went over the tracks already. So went on a tangent.
I think this record and some of the later records we're going to talk about are very front-loaded. I love the first 4 songs on this record, and I played them over and over to figure out which is my favorite out of the first 4. And I ended up choosing the last song on the record, Peaceful and Warm, written exclusively by Mr. Steve Walsh. And it starts out as this acoustic ballad with Rich Williams on the acoustic guitar, and you get great violin work by new member David Ragsdale here. And it's really sweet lyrics that Walsh wrote about going back to his hometown and seeing how it's changed, but it's still the same. And you get this 4-minute acoustic song basically with just the vocal, the violin, and the acoustic guitar. And then the last 2.5 minutes, it just turns into this Prog epic. And you get some really good guitar riffs, electric guitar power chords from Rich Williams, and you get the soaring violin from David Ragsdale and Phil Ehart on the drums. It's more of a violin solo the whole end of the song, and it's this uplifting, spiritual sounding music. And just Phil Ehart on the drums, he's just wailing and doing these great fills and adding all these percussive touches. So I think it's a great song to end the album on, and I wish the ending were a little longer. So I love the first 4 tracks, but Peaceful and Warm is my choice here. And I saw them on this tour, and they did basically the first 4 from this album, and then songs back from the 70s. So that's my choice, Peaceful and Warm. Over to you, Logan.
All right. The song makes you feel peaceful and warm, right?
Yeah.
Dad jokes today.
I see we got a writer of Let It Be Your Guide, the Kansas album review.
Yeah. We've got
Tim
We've got the writer of the album here. Wow. We got to bring Tim on since he produced that album.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know this. This is Tim Derling.
Oh boy, he forgot to shave that day. Yeah.
Yeah. But I went with kind of like what, but I kind of agree with what Davey's saying, but I don't really find a dip in this album. I think a lot of it's really solid, you know. I went with Black Fathom 4, which is the 4th track. So I guess it's a little joke, Black Fathom 4, you know. But it's got this like heavy riff, some cool violin playing from David Ragsdale. Wouldn't sound it out of place on one of the 70s albums to me. Steve Walsh brings it vocally on this track, and I love the backing vocals, keeping that Kansas sound alive. I think Steve kind of starts the downward trend probably on this album, but I think he works certain songs. He sounds great, and on this one, I think he sounds really good. Yeah. Where am I here? Ragsdale. Okay, no. Hold on a second. Rich Williams. I was going to bring up Rich Williams. He comes in with one of my favorite lead parts of the band's whole career. And I love the trade-off with him and Ragsdale. And everything slows down, and Phil Ehart gives this great double bass fill. And I love Walsh's vocals on this one. Yeah. What Sydney just said. His strained vocals on this.
It's strained, but it's heavy. It gives him a rasp.
The ending, too. Yeah. The ending, too. And he's going higher and higher. Oh, man, I love it. But yeah, much like Spirit of Things, I think this track is lyrically kind of about like a flood coming. It kind of, because they talk about a flood on this one. And it's kind of got like these you're talking about like a riot going on and stuff. So I don't know what, it's like maybe it's the end of the world thing. I don't really know. But yeah, that's a great song, man. But yeah. Tim knows.
That's funny. Yeah, well, keep it short. That's my pick as well, actually. It's funny we're lining up on these later albums. Black Fathom 4 is what I went with. So yeah. Yeah, that's the highlight. My favorite Steve Walsh lyric is, yeah. Just it starts kind of like mid-tempo, right? And then it just picks up in the middle, and it's just the solo just melts your face, and it's very shreddy, actually, almost in that solo. It's just...
Yeah.
Heavy guitars.
Really heavy riff. Probably their heaviest song. Because it's borderline. I would go as far as calling that almost a heavy metal song, really.
Hard rock.
I'll give it heavy metal, Davey. No? Kansas is a heavy metal band now. Kind of try to almost going prog metal, sort of. You could argue it. I don't know. No? Davey's the heavy metal connoisseur. It's like...
No, he's the genre master. He knows.
It's the genre. It's not like Slayer. It's not metal. No.
On and on, south of heaven, baby.
Oh my God, that's funny. That's actually probably my favorite Slayer. Anyways, we're not talking Slayer. Yeah. How did we get to talking about Slayer on a Kansas show? Oh boy, that's funny. Black Fathom 4. Yeah, so that's my pick. It's just a great song. And that brings us to. I don't have these, Davey. I'm counting on you to hold these up. I was going to say Always Never the Same, but we're not doing that unless there's anything you do want to pick from that.
Somewhere to Elsewhere, baby.
Somewhere to Elsewhere.
Forget about that other one.
That's another weird album cover. That looks, yeah.
You know what I could have done? I could have showed off Tim's album covers.
What?
Davey, you should do that on the last two.
Well, I've got a clip that Tim sent us, so I think we'll get to that at the end. So
Yep.
we got Icarus.
And I should add,
Yep.
the vinyl has a different cover.
Yep.
Wow.
Tim's vinyl copy.
Yeah, they lose the ghost guy, right? On the
Ghost.
Yep.
there's a guy, you know.
Yeah. Wow. So this came out in July 11th, 2000. So this was like, yeah, it's the first dip into the 2000s for Kansas.
Yes.
I don't know what
Reunion.
happened. Why was there a 5-year gap there? I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of a reunion album. You got pretty much the entire original lineup is actually on here. And you got Dave Hope. Yeah, well, he's on 2 songs. He's not on the whole thing. But
Right.
so yeah, they reunited. But I don't think they were all in one studio. I think they were like in different places because I think they live in different parts of the country.
Well, I
But-
think the band were together, but
Steve Walsh was by himself,
doesn't
right?
play
Yeah.
keyboards here.
Yeah.
He was recording his solo album in California at
Right.
the time, so he just sings on this album. He was
Right.
separate from
Okay,
the
so
band.
he was separate from the rest of them, right? Yeah, I'm reading that. Okay, yeah, it says they were never actually all together. So yeah, it was, yeah.
All together now.
All
All
together.
together now.
Yeah, this was like the last album to feature both Steinhardt and and Steve Walsh, since I guess it would have been since Audio Visions.
Yes.
Livgren too, right? This is it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got Icarus 2, I guess, which is, you want to call it a sequel. It's called Icarus 2.
Absolutely.
So it just didn't have a cool name in brackets to go with it. Then we got When the World Was Young, Grand Fun Alley, not Grand Funk Alley, but Grand Fun Alley. And we got the Coming Dawn, sorry,
Thanatos.
Sure. Is that a real word or is that another made up word? Is this back to the made up word thing?
I guess it is, but no, I think I used to know the meaning of it. I have it in my notes.
That's how you pronounce that? I'm looking at that. Looks like
Thanatos, yeah.
Thanatopsis. Like,
Oh,
Miss-
okay. It's not
missing, like-
Thanatos then. I'm
missing,
going by
like-
memory.
missing off like half the letter. Yeah. Anyway,
I should look it up in Tim's book. Let it be a guide.
Myriad. Look at the time. Disappearing Skin Tight Blues. Yeah.
Best song title ever.
Misleading song title because it's not what you would expect. Yeah. I went to the doctor for a bad case of Thanatopsis.
I was just
Funny
going to
Tim-
say Thanatopsis or Thanatopsis.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny Tim brought that up because I just got prescribed Byzantium from the doctor. So,
Byzantium.
Oh, then we got Distant Vision, and then Byzantium. Yep, you got Byzantium to cure your oh god, whatever. Thanatopsis. Yeah. It's a Marvel song. You got Not Man Big. Yeah, really weird song title. It's like a caveman title. Not
I
Man
always
Big.
thought that too.
Like what?
I always thought the same thing.
And then there's like a hidden track, if you really want to count that. I don't think anyone's picking it, but Geodesic Dome. I'm winging that.
Geodesic Dome, I think.
Geodesic, yeah. Geodesic
And that's
Dome.
Carrie on
That's
lead
Carrie
vocals
again.
on that
Yeah,
song.
he's singing on that, which is not really. It's kind of not really a song. It is, but it's kind of a weird one. Yeah. So, talk about Icarus 2, Davey.
No, I am not going to.
It was in your top
No.
10. What else?
I think this song should have been higher. If it wasn't higher, my choice from this album, probably my deepest album cut from a Kansas record. Everything on this album is written by Kerry Livgren. It's a return to form. I love Somewhere to Elsewhere. I think it was my third favorite Kansas album.
Wow. Okay.
Vocals by Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt on here. 8 minutes, 48 seconds. I'm going with Distant Vision. This is an epic, epic prog song from the pen of Kerry Livgren. The performances on here are great. Walsh sounds really good on vocals. But there's a section from 5 minutes, about 5:25 till 7:40 or something, where the music is just beautiful. And you get one of my favorite, Robbie Steinhardt violin pieces. And then Robbie Steinhardt's vocal section in this part of the song is great. It's my favorite Steinhardt vocals in the whole Kansas catalog. And Distant Vision, if you have not heard this song from this album, the whole album is great. but Distant Vision is my choice from 2000, Somewhere to Elsewhere, the 13th studio record.
Nice.
Cool.
What's Mr. Collins going with?
Well,
Icarus 2? You're gonna bet?
No. I'm going with Myriad. Was my pick.
Okay.
Great
yeah,
song.
I gotta say too, guys. I first heard this album today, so in full. This is the
Same.
first time I ever. Yep. So, but yeah, I was very impressed with it. I thought I could have went with any of the 10 tracks really, and I'm looking forward to like listening to it further on and getting more familiar with the tracks. And but yeah, I like it's kind of back to the bluesy approach of the 70s and the prog thing. Like they're trading off, every other track, or every other couple tracks, But yeah, I went with Myriad, which is kind of like atmospheric piece that opens with Carrie's keys before breaking in this like guitar piece. And there's some more instrumental bits before we're introduced to Steve's vocals. And it's got this like cool laid back hard rock groove. And then the chorus, I think, just elevates the whole track. And I really like the interplay between the vocals during the bridge section about 4 minutes in. And we get a total return to 70s Kansas. I think this is like, it sounds like it could be on a Kansas like Song for America or something. The little organ part that Kerry Livgren actually plays, which is kind of weird when you're so used to Steve Walsh playing the organ. It's
Right.
Like, yeah. But yeah, Rich gets a nice guitar lead section that sets up the next part of the track. And I think this part's in 5/8. So there they are with their strange time signatures again. Get a nice Steinhardt violin break before another great. Rich has like 3 or 4 breaks, like lead guitar breaks on this song. All of them are great. Yeah, and he does this like atmospheric. I like about 7 minutes in, it's like kind of like David Gilmour a little bit, kind of like the long bending notes and stuff. But he starts playing some really fast lines at the end of that too. Yeah, I think I like the way it ends on this like very somber keyboard and violin led instrumental part. It's just a great track. So I could probably go. Yeah, I could have went with any of these songs. I really enjoyed this album. So that's
Nice.
my pick.
Icarus 2 was my number 2 choice.
Okay. I thought you were going to go with that because I started watching your top 10 Kansas song. I'm like, okay, I better stop watching this or it's going to kind of ruin it a little bit. I don't really want to know. But yeah. So I thought I watched up to where you mentioned Icarus 2 as one of your top 10 Kansas songs. So I thought for sure you were going with that for this. But
I faked you out.
I'm assuming Distant Vision's also mentioned in that video, so I'll have to go back and watch that. All right, so I'm going with a Robbie Steinhardt vocal. I'm assuming you can guess which song that is. Oh, there's actually 2 other ones.
When the World Was Young.
What?
When the World Was Young?
No, that's Steve.
Yeah, it's Steve, isn't it, Dave?
Oh,
that's Steve.
You're right.
I went with, it sounds like it would be Robbie because his vocals are very aggressive on that, but no, I went with Grand Fun Alley, not Grand Funk Alley, but Grand Fun Alley. It's kind of like
a play on words. Grand Finale.
Okay, I get it. Okay, yeah, Grand Fun Alley. Why did I not think of that? I'm just thinking of Grand Funk the entire time.
You got Grand Funk on the brain. DC.
Yeah, I know.
Well, on that song, Robbie's on the lead vocals.
Yeah.
And Steve Walsh is singing the choruses.
See, it's weird.
He's singing the title underneath him.
Yeah, because it's weird. Because on Wiki it just says lead vocals Robbie Steinhardt, doesn't it? So,
Grand Finale.
There's just like this heavy. It's basically just a Grand Funk Alley. No, not Grand Funk Alley.
Hey, Kyle.
No, it's yeah, it's like just this heavy. Basically, it's a blue. It's not really. It's kind of a blue, more of a funk riff, I would say. Kind of like this funky, bluesy hard rock riff, and then it kicks into like a total blues jam in the middle with some great guitar work. Just yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with this. It's a really good album, actually. This to me, this is like the final 3. This is the better one of the final 3. I really like this album, actually.
I'd say so too. Yeah.
This is very different too. I mean, Kansas was prone to doing like those older blues, like the bluesy rock stuff, like Lonely Street and a few others. But I think this is kind of a throwback to this. But except Robbie's singing on this. Steve Walsh usually did the bluesy songs, but here Robbie's taking one of the bluesy ones and running with it, and I think it's just a great song. So yeah, check that anyone that doesn't really know these albums, all these songs that we've mentioned, but yeah, this is another good one, is Grand Finale. Which, yeah, now that I'm saying it, that's all I hear is Grand Finale, but yeah.
And the song that's sung by Billy Greer, Look at the Time, is a great song. It's very Beatlesque. I love that track too.
Yeah. I don't think he has the greatest voice, but he's...
And there's great backing vocals in that
but there's
song.
A great,
and it's got great keyboards. Look at the Time is another really good track.
Yeah, every song on Disappearing Skin Tight Balloons is kind of, it's all right.
It's probably my least favorite, but it's not bad.
7 minutes, but it just does not need to be 7. It's got a weird song, but yeah. But yeah, Grand Fun Alley. Not Grand Finale, but Grand Fun. Just think of Grand Funk, yeah. Grand Fun Alley.
Grand Fun Alley.
Oh, yeah. They're always
show and tell, right?
They're always clever with their play on words. So now we get into the Prelude Impotent. No, the Prelude Implicit. What is it? The Prelude Implicit. There we go.
Yeah. Yep.
Prelude Implicit.
There's the album cover.
There you go. Play the 8 tracks tonight. Yeah, Ernesto probably has the 8 tracks of the Prelude Implicit and Freaks of Nature. Bootleg 8 tracks. Printed his own stickers and just stuck them on another. There we go. There's the album cover, since no one seems to own it.
I would have it.
You do have it. You just don't have it on hand. Okay. Oh yeah, Logan ordered it, and this is actually a pretty cool album cover. I'll give them that. It's a great album cover. This album was tough. This was almost another one where I couldn't almost pick nothing. But
don't say that.
Yeah, I know it was tough for me. I just couldn't really get into it very much. But yeah, it was a tough one for me personally. I don't know. I don't know. I know a lot of people would like this kind of thing, but I don't know. It's just not for me. Not terrible. Just maybe because I've only heard it like the one time, and it's just I don't know. Nothing really grabbed me too much. But yeah, anyways, we'll get into it. So we got With This Heart, Visibility Hero, The Unsung Heroes. Visibility Zero. Looking at the next song, The Unsung Heroes. Refugee, The Voyage of 818, Camouflaged, Summer, Crowded Isolation, Section 60, and then there's bonus tracks on deluxe edition of Home on the Range, which is I'm picking. That's what I'm going on. Spoiler alert, I'm not picking Home on the Range. Is that actually that song? I never even bothered to listen to it, but I'm pretty sure it is that.
It is.
Yeah. And then Oh Shenandoah, which is a traditional song as well, and is instrumental.
Yep.
Shenandoah. Okay, so Davey, what are you going with?
This is the 14th studio record, and we have some new members here because Steve Walsh retired from touring.
Yep, that's right.
Singing and playing in Kansas. He still does some stuff on his own occasionally. So you have new singer Ronnie Platt here, who played in a really good American band, also from the Midwest, called Shooting Star. And eventually I will be doing some Shooting Star content on my channel, Cretan Classics. But at any rate, you have a new
Did he ever record with Shooting Star? Sorry, did he ever record with Shooting Star or no?
I think he just played live.
I know he's not an original member. I know he didn't sing. Yeah. It says he was a truck driver before landing the job. I'm like, how'd you get that job? He was just singing while driving the truck, and they heard him singing.
They heard him, yeah.
You're good.
And also you have guitar player Zach Rizvi, who wrote the bulk of the material on this album. So it's sort of like Styx, how they got Willa Vankovic in, and he co-wrote most of the last 3 Styx albums. My choice from this album was the Big Prog Epic. It's 8 minutes and 18 seconds long, and that's how they got the title, The Voyage of 818. And this is throwback school prog. It's long. It has different sections. Takes over a minute for the vocals to come in. And Ronnie Platt, he's close to Steve Walsh. He's not Steve Walsh of the 70s, but he's a really good singer. Like his vocal performance here. I like the instrumentation by the band, and I would recommend checking out the Prog Epic, The Voyage of 818 from the Prelude Implicit. Over to you, Logan.
All right.
Well, I'm agreeing with Davey here. So I don't really got much more to say besides what he said, basically. Yeah, I mentioned the lineup change. I think out of all the tracks I've heard on this album, and then again, this is one I heard last week actually a little bit, but it's pretty new to my ears. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, out of all the tracks I heard on this album, this one kind of speaks to the more classic Kansas sound to me. I could have, I see where they're going for, trajectory wise. It's like they're trying to hit the heights of the '70s a little bit on some of this stuff to me. Yeah, and I like the track. Got a bunch of changes, like David was saying. Great unison guitar and violin lead lines, and I like the fact that Ronnie Platt sings the vocals on this, but he also is playing the piano, so he's doing a little bit of both. So, and it breaks down on the verses. It's just him in between the harder rocking and violin sections.
Yeah.
And I like that David Ragsdale came back for this one, and he puts on a great performance, I think, on this track. Yeah, and I love especially 3 minutes in that violin thing he does with the synth lines. And there's a bunch of trade-off things on this track. A lot of guitar solos, violin solos, keyboard solos, just great stuff, man. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say. I mean, it's just a great track.
Okay. Yeah, I went with again, I just heard this for the first time today, so it was hard to really pick anything. But I went with Summer. I don't know if anyone really thinks of that as a standout track on this album. I don't know.
That's a Billy Greer song, right?
I think you might be right. Yep.
Yeah.
He's not singing it though. I don't believe.
No,
it says Rizvi, Greer, Ehart, Williams, Manny. It looks like it was written by the whole band.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah, he does. You're right. Okay, he does the vocals. It says lead vocals on Summer. I thought it sounded a little bit different than some of the other. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good rock show. It's a rock tune. Anyone know what it's about? It's about the winter. It's just kind of a fun, just a good solid rock song and really cool, fun, infectious chorus. Got a great bluesy solo in the middle there. To me, it was the one that jumped out at me. Again, I've only heard this once, so maybe more listens, more stuff will jump out. But for me, that was the one that jumped out at me, and I could pick for this for now. So it's a double meaning. It was about they're going to do well. Actually, interesting. Okay.
Tim knows.
All right. Oh, that's interesting. Well, there you go.
Whip that book out again, Davey. Whip it out.
And that's Tim on the cover.
Man, Tim's been around the world.
Yeah, so that was mine. So Summer. So that brings us to the final album by Kansas for now. We don't know if they're gonna do any more albums, but
hopefully.
The Absence.
It's almost been 5 years.
5 years. It's crazy when you think about it. This is new, but it's 5 years old.
Yep.
The Absence of Presence, which is actually a really cool album cover as well. That's not the album cover, but yeah, there you go. There on the side.
Yeah, one on the bottom, yeah.
Here, let's see. I'll save the image here. Show you it in color. Let's see. This. There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, pretty.
The font is not the greatest because it's kind of like buried behind the bubble. It's kind of like, what the hell?
But I love the use of bold blues and purples.
It's a cool album cover. But I don't know what the guy's doing. Does he have a headache? He's kind of like...
It looks like his head's going into the sky, so...
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't like the font, though, how the font's like there in the background like that, though. It's kind of like...
But it's an eye-catching cover.
It is, yeah.
Cool.
From their most recent 15th studio record from 2020. And we're waiting for a new one, guys, so fingers crossed you give us one.
Yeah, make Tim update that book. Come on.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't want to be harsh, but I'm that guy on the album cover going, I don't know. I'm not, It was a reach for me to pick something, but we'll get into the track listing. So we got the title track that starts it off. The Absence of Presence, Throwing Mountains, Jets Overhead, Propulsion 1, an instrumental. Memories Down the Line, Circus of Illusion, Animals on the Roof, Never, and The Song the River Sang. So what is Davey going with?
With this album, I'm going for the big opening number, the title track, The Absence of Presence. Vocals by Ronnie Platt, music by Zach Rizvi, and lyrics here by new keyboard player Tom Brislin, who's an amazing keyboard player. He's played with Renaissance. He actually played with Yes. He toured with Yes, I should say. And he's a great songwriter, good singer. He sings the last track on the record. And he co-writes a lot of the songs on here. And his keyboard work on this album is excellent. Sydney, you have to listen to this record again. It's a really good record. I think it's a little front-loaded. The first 4 or 5 tracks are my favorites here. But I'm picking The Absence of Presence. It's very melodic. It's got great violin work, again, from David Ragsdale. Really good vocals by Ronnie Platt. You got the drums of Phil Ehart, the guitars of Rich Williams. It's a great song. Tom Brislin on keyboards. Ronnie Platt probably does a little keyboards on this record, but it's mainly Tom Brislin, who's a monster. So title track is what I'm going with. Very symphonic prog, epic, melodic, wonderful song. Title track, baby, for me.
All right, Logan.
Cool. Well, I'm going to go down the line from Davey. I'm picking track 2, Throwing Mountains.
Nice.
Which
hard
was,
rock song.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing with me. It was kind of the more hard rocker thing on this album. It kind of starts with like these electrical like drum kind of things that they kind of experimented a little bit with on the Prelude Implicit on one track. They kind of had like electrical drumming on some of that. But yeah, it turns into this like heavy rock song centered on guitar before some violin comes in and then settles down for the verses. Ronnie Platt gives a great vocal performance on this song, and I think the band kind of adapt well to this like newer prog rock style they're trying to do. Because I think this album really sounds like them trying to step away from the classic Kansas sound to me. Like, I know you could say that about Prelude Implicit too, but I feel like Prelude Implicit kind of sounds more like older Kansas to me for some reason. But I mean, I've only played these albums a couple times, maybe once or twice all the way through, so you know, it's just what I'm getting out of it. But yeah, David Ragsdale gets plenty of room to shine. I really like his work. About 3 minutes in, he does this like descending note riff on the violin, and the track switches pace around 3.5 minutes in, going for another heavier riff, and then it goes into some great leads, which Zach and Rich, I think they go back and forth a little bit on that. It sounds like a little bit of a trade-off there. And then the track goes acoustic towards the end and really shows the band's singing capabilities pretty well on that part. Yeah, and it's got that descending violin riff that returns to the end. It's got this like big ending. I thought it was a good track. So yeah, Throwing Mountains, which I think Phil Ehart made he came up with the title of the song. So
okay.
Yep.
So I'm with Davey on this one. I went with the title track.
Cool.
Oh, I don't want to be harsh. But for me, it's the only song I would ever listen to again on the entire album is the title track of the first one. I don't know. Nothing else, even Throwing Mountains is heavy, but it's just, I don't know, musically, it just, I don't know. Just nothing on here did it for me. Just the title track. I thought, like, I first heard that title track and think, okay, this is going to be, like, the best Kansas album ever, and then after that, it just kind of, like, I don't know. Didn't really do much for me after that. But
you're wrong.
Probably. But yeah, the title track is a masterpiece. I'll give it that. That title track is great with all the changes. There's wicked keyboard work that reminds you of like the old Kansas, or even like a little bit of Deep Purple keyboards in there. Just great musicianship. There's great soloing by everybody in the band, drums, bass. It's just a great epic song, and can't say enough. I actually really did. I heard that and I actually loved that song. But then maybe it's because that album is, or maybe because that song, I loved it so much, I was expecting the rest of it to be just as good. And just, for me, it just didn't do it for me. I don't know. Like, if we were ranking these, I'd probably have this just above Drastic Measures in the Spirit of Things. If we were to rank in these albums. But, yeah, it just didn't do it for me. Just not not my thing really, but I do really like that title track. So
Cool.
Going with the title track for that one. But it would be nice if they do still at least they're still pumping out material and they're still touring. They're coming out with material. At least they're not just trying to live off an album that they did 50 years ago, right?
Ronnie Platt just recovered from thyroid cancer too, so that's awesome. So
yes, what Tim says. If it appealed, don't listen to me, Go. I'm not saying don't buy it. I'm just saying it's not for me. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean you won't. Like if you're into this style, it's probably just not my style of music, to be honest. Like it's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with Tim, and I said Sydney's wrong.
We can't like everything, guys. We can't like everything.
Oh, I haven't heard this. So what? Haven't heard. Oh, okay. I haven't heard this, so cannot comment. Okay. It's just Anyways, so that wraps up our 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Wow.
That was a quick show. No. Yeah. So now we're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, so before I forget, I do have to show. Tim was kind enough to send us his ranking, his favorite songs. No, not really, but
yeah, and he did.
You'll see what I mean.
He shaved for this video, so that's cool. He doesn't look like this anymore.
Oh, so yeah, enjoy this. It's funny. Made me laugh. I've watched it. I was expecting. Right, you'll see what I mean. Starts off like he's gonna pick songs, and it kind of turns into something else. But you'll see it. It's funny.
So the guys have asked me to pick one song from each of the Kansas albums as my favorite. This shouldn't be a problem. I mean, I know these albums inside out, right? So let's start with the first one. Okay. Oh, you've got to go with Bellix's, right? Right, Bellix's? Oh, Journey from Marybron's on here too. So's The Pilgrim. Death of Mother Nature's. Okay, we'll get back to that. Okay. Let's jump a little bit. Okay. Audio Vision.
He goes all the way to Audio Vision.
Relentless. I mean, that's you can't. No One Together. Loner. Put a pin in this one. So let's jump ahead to.
It's so random. It's funny.
Let's jump ahead to the.
Just skip like a whole decade.
Now this one should be pretty simple because I mean it's got Rhythm and the Spirit, but Age 18, Summer. Guys, you know what? You want to know what I think of all these albums? Just get this. I can't. Sorry, guys, I can't do it. Too gosh darn many good songs.
It's funny. It made me laugh the first time. Still makes me laugh.
Tim's the man.
It's funny because when he sent me the video, I'm like, wow. I looked at the time of the video, so it was like 1:28. I'm like, how the hell did you sit there talking about all your songs in 1:28? This is before I actually watched it. And I went on and I'm like, it takes me like hours to go to do our video. You did it in 1:28? How the hell? And I watched it. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, it was funny. Yeah, it made me laugh. Where he just kind of like, what the hell? Yeah, it's really funny.
That's how I felt too this week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. At first I was confused. I'm like, why is Tim jumping to Audio Vision? And I'm like, oh, he's doing a bit. Okay.
And remember, for all you American rock fans, don't sleep on Tim's new book, Sing Me Away, the Night Ranger album guide.
Written by our good
buddy Tim Durling.
You want to plug something while Davy's talking about that?
With that said,
we're all in it.
Yes, I'm in a book. Whoever thought? I did not write it. Don't worry.
Tim wrote it.
I wrote one little
contributors.
I wrote one little section, which I'm sure he edited and made it proper. Okay, got to remove this word and this word and this word. Now it's actually a sentence. No. Oh my god. But yeah, I think I did the first album. I answered questions for the first album. So yeah, that was fun, and we also contributed to an April wine book that he's gonna be doing. So, but yeah, no, I think he's announced that, hasn't he?
I don't think so, but someone else did.
It's out now for
Edit that out. Edit that out. He's not doing another book ever again.
Mr. Pardo announced that recently on his channel, The Godfather.
Okay, well, it's been announced.
Hey, before we go, could I just speak briefly about my channel, Cretan
Yes, of
Classics?
course. What do you? Oh yeah, where do you
I
plug
put
it?
up a new video today.
Today.
Thanks to my producer, Tia, my longtime
Producer.
friend Carolyn, and I, we picked our favorite songs by Squeeze. So look for top 12 tunes by Squeeze on Cretan Classics.
Nice.
And the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be guesting on Grant's Rock Warehouse for the next 2 Monday nights. And like I said, I'm going to be filming on Grab a Stack of Rock with Harrison and Mr. Mike Ladano, your fellow Canadians,
Nice.
Sydney and Tim.
Fellow Canadian, I could walk to as well. I could, but it'd take a while. But yeah,
And one last appearance I will have probably at the beginning of August. We're filming it in a couple of weeks at the end of this month. I will be ranking the albums of Ghost, the rock band Ghost, on it's Underlords Universe on YouTube by a band, Underlords of the Overworld. But the YouTube channel is Underlords Universe. I'll be doing a Ghost album ranking with those guys from the Midwest. I'm looking forward to that too.
Nice. Yeah, shooting back to the Night Ranger thing. So our next best songs is actually Night Ranger, and Tim Derling's joining us for that. So I figured it was perfect. He just did the book, so chance to promote that a little bit and do best songs of Night Ranger. It's 13 albums as well, so that'll be fun. There it is. Sing Me Away.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's coming up. That'll be a Sunday show. I think we're doing that a little earlier. I think 12 p.m. on a Sunday next weekend.
Cool.
So tomorrow we're doing our State to State Obscurities music hangout. We're on Rhode Island, where our friend Brian McFadden lives. He's originally from Massachusetts, but I think he's in Rhode Island now. And yeah, a band called Demon Chrome, sounded like a modern heavy metal band. But yeah,
nice name.
So yeah, that's what's coming up. I mean, got a few other shows planned coming up. We're for best songs. Logan's not doing it because he doesn't like White Lion, but we're doing White Lion. We're gonna have Ches Cetra joining us for that. Danny Elkanah's gonna be back joining us for that. Mike Ladano's on for that one, and Joey Sudo from Rock Show Critique. So we got a full lineup there for that. Figured get a lot of people because it's only 4 albums, so get a whole bunch of different opinions for that. So that'll be kind of cool. Maybe Logan will just sit there and hang out and learn with us.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll make him like them.
Yeah.
I know Tim Derling is thrilled to come on that. No, Tim does not like White Lion, but yeah.
They have some good songs.
Again, can't like everything, so.
Vito Bratta, great guitar player, just disappeared.
Yeah, pretty much.
Darn shame.
And then we got, who else? We're doing Foreigner for Best Songs. And none other than Grant from Grant's Rock Warehouse is joining us for Foreigner.
Yeah.
And then, on my phone, I've got this list of stuff that I'm doing.
We've talked about doing Trooper. I don't know if we're going to do that.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Okay.
So, okay.
Canadian band.
July 19th, Kansas, 3 p.m. It's actually 4. Okay, so yeah, that was today's. So 12 p.m., July 27th, we're doing Night Ranger with Tim. I'll be on Joey's channel the same day, actually.
Same day, yeah.
Same day at 5 p.m., so I'll be doing 2 shows July 27th. He's invited me on to do a Crocus series, kind of like how Grant does with you with Styx, doing 2 albums at a time. So we're starting doing that with Crocus, so I'm doing that series with him starting July 27th, 5 p.m. after the Night Ranger show. And then July 28th, the next day, this is a show that our friend who designed our logo, Ernesto, he pitched this probably when we first started the channel, and we've just been trying to finally get it together with the right guests, and we're doing our top 5 second best guitarists. So to sort of explain it, it's like everyone has Michael Schenker, Richie Blackmore, Van Halen, all their list of the number ones. Who are 5 guys that you would have at number 2, right? So that kind of thing. Kind of like an underrated guitar player, right? They're not quite your number 1, but they'd all be solid number 2s. That kind of thing. So yeah, who's going to be on? So I think Ches is going to be on that. Ernesto, obviously, me. I don't know if Logan. He hasn't confirmed yet for that
We'll
one.
see. I don't know. Yeah.
And oh boy, oh, I can remember all the guests. I haven't done the thumbnails for any of these things.
Well,
Just so many guests every time. It's hard to remember. Who else is joining us? I don't want to leave anybody's name out.
talked to Tom Curlis, right, about it. I don't know if he's
Yes,
coming
thank
out.
you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Tom Curlis is joining us for that. Tom Curlis, Ches, Ernesto, and John the Music Nut. There we go. John the Music Nut. So that's going to be the people joining us for that. Then July 30th, I'll be going on Grant's Rock Warehouse at 7 p.m. on July 30th. He started a new series with DC where they pick 3 bands, 2 songs from each band, so 6 songs, talk about the band a little bit. I think he's got it titled Bands That You Don't Know That You Should Know or something. Yeah, bands that you should, basically like an obscure, bands that you should know kind of thing. So I've picked my 3 bands and 2 songs by each picked out for that. And then August 10th is Foreigner at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for with Foreigner for Best Songs with Grant. And then August 16th, White Lion. And then we're doing a 2-parter. It's gonna be August 23rd and then August 30th, a week later. We're doing Robin Trower for Best Songs. Just the first 10 albums. First part will be the first 5, and then the following week will be the next 5 albums. So look out for that one. So that's what's coming up. A lot of stuff coming up, and then our state-to-state shows, which are on the Saturday or Sunday, depending on when we do our regular. Yes, the Duariers. Thank you. All the James Dewar, yeah, the original singer. So that's what's coming up, and we probably are doing Trooper. We haven't really booked that, but I think me and Logan are going to do Trooper. Probably difficult to find anyone for that. It's most people, even in Canada, for the most part, only know the hits, really. But
you could find someone.
Yeah, we could probably find somebody. Maybe I'll ask Ches actually. Maybe he'll probably know. He's all into his Canadian rock bands, so I'll ask Ches actually. And then in September, we're taking a break from Best Songs. We're going back to like the, retrospectives. So doing an entire, every week. But we're going to kind of start 2 retrospectives at a time, so it's going to rotate. So for the 1st of September, whatever, the beginning of September, whatever weekend that is, we're going to be starting with Rory Gallagher. And then then the following week will be Frank Marino, then back to Rory, and back and so forth. 2 albums at a time. So doing the first 2 Rory ones, then to Frank, and back until they're both done. So that's what we're starting off with, and it kind of makes sense. They're kind of in that bluesy hard rock vein. So that'll be a fun one. And again, Rory, if Triumph didn't exist, I'd say Rory Gallagher's my favorite musician. So he's, that's... You should have started that earlier. I don't know why I waited so long to do a Rory Gallagher thing when you'd think starting a channel you talk about the stuff you love the most. It's kind of weird that it took so long, but yeah. Finally getting the Rory Gallagher show. Was going to do Best Songs, but you know what? I wanted to do a whole series, so we're going to try to get some guests on for that, see who we can get. I think John the Music Nut and Webb have confirmed that they'll come on at some point for that, so that'll be fun. So that's Ernesto will probably do all the Frank Marino stuff, because I know he's nut for Frank Marino. So do a Tragically Hip retrospective just for Kiefer. Yeah. Oh.
It's Kiefer's favorite band.
Oh. I only like the first couple, so that wouldn't even really work anyways. But yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna wrap this up. So
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Of course, always a pleasure.
Thanks for coming on, baby.
So we're gonna wrap this up. We'll be joining you again tomorrow with our state-to-state obscurity show. Go to the bottom of our channel and click Creighton's Classic, because I can go check out that channel, and this is where it says guest channels. So his is under there, and lots of great content.
And on Davey's channel where it says subscribe, hit that button.
Yes, for sure. And if you've
subscribe
already
subscribe to these guys too.
Yes.
And list your favorite Kansas songs down below.
Yeah.
That too.
So thanks everybody for watching, and thanks to the Atman Cretan for joining us. It's always fun. It's a pleasure to have you, and Everybody else, thanks for being here in the chat, and have a good rest of your day.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Arrivederci.